we talked about that a little bit.
Okay, we got everybody here. I'm Bill Canada, Custer County Commissioner. This is Wednesday, March 3rd, 2021 at exactly 09:01. And I'd like to remind everybody, if you haven't done it, silence your phones that are here. And we've got a pretty good agenda today. We ought to be able to get done in too sweet time. And I asked Peggy yesterday to remind me and the rest of everybody, turn the phones back on because I keep losing it when I get out of these meetings. So I'm asking for it. All right, let's get started. Let's stand and pledge the allegiance. And I'd like to have a good chief over here lead us. Bob.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, meeting's been called to order, pledge is done, and now it's time for the roll call, Kelly.
Commissioner Canada.
Here.
Commissioner Flower.
Present.
Commissioner Day.
Present.
Attorney Clint Smith.
Present.
And Clerk to the Board Kelly Camper present.
Okay, and others in the room, we've got an audience introduction. Go ahead, Chief.
Robert Galley with the airport. Lynn LaGree, airport.
Bob McDonald, airport.
Tina Jones, BOCC, BOH admin.
Okay, we got a full house. Thanks. And if we get comments online, we'll get a name, an exact name, as opposed to nicknames. All right, and then the agenda. I know there's an item that I would recommend personally, and that would be let's delete the item for consideration to consolidate the zoning changes, because we have a meeting specially to do that tomorrow. And we are getting our comments consolidated now, right? So I would move we delete that item.
I would second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to amend the agenda by deleting the consideration to consolidate the zoning resolution changes. Any other discussion on it? Tom, opposed?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
And I. Any other amendments?
None here.
Good. Did we have more minutes, or are we done with that? We had a lot of them the last two meetings.
Yeah, you should have
I don't
had
remember getting one.
4 yesterday.
Yep.
And then, so now we're good again.
Up through the last.
Yeah, I had 3 left. Now I got 6 left again.
Oh, good.
Because
That's a start.
having meetings, we quit having minutes.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, wait, we got a new visitor just now, Rob Canterbury, I see in the back. We were introducing ourselves, Rob, just to make sure everybody knows who's here for the record. All right. Are you going to stick around, or are you just talking?
He brought me a copy of.
Oh, I see. Okay. I don't want to bore you for the whole meeting. No, you can stay.
No, you're fine. Actually, I have plenty to do.
That's fine. And it doesn't interrupt us one thing.
I just would appreciate your looking at that. and
Yeah.
seeing if
And
you guys can
this
come
is
up
very
with
close
something.
to the one from Montezuma County that I use
Okay.
to draft.
So we can
one, so,
meld them somehow.
yeah.
Thank you, Rob, for
Thanks,
dropping
guys.
by. Okay, so minutes we're good with. Commissioner item, Mr. Day, Commissioner.
Since yesterday, I guess the biggest thing I did was went down and donated blood. So I guess that's about it.
You're still walking.
Still walking and talking.
Tom?
Thank you, sir. Obviously, you didn't do a whole lot since yesterday, but a couple of points I wanted to bring up. Have you heard anything from DOLA about our extension request?
Not a word. And I did try to get a hold of Christie 2 days ago, and I got sidetracked after she wasn't around. So I'm gonna find out what the word is. I did see something from Mayor Wenzel that talked about extending the timelines. I don't know if that affects us any. This has nothing to do with the extension on the towers, but the COVID stuff. Did you see that?
Yeah.
So she's around. I don't know.
And then also,
Are you going to try to call her, or you want me to? Thinking about on the.
you signed the letter, correct? Yeah, I think it'd be appropriate for you
I'll
to
call her
call.
again. So,
And then, I don't know if you had the opportunity to read Kathy Haddon's email. Obviously, there's something going on, but anyway, I
Yeah, I
think
was
she
surprised.
brings up a good point in recommending that we expand our advertising the vacancy, job vacancy announcements for the payroll finance job and for the, payroll human resources job and also for the finance job. So I think it's appropriate we have a discussion about that. I don't think we can count on the 3 local papers in a county of 4,700 people and expect we're going to get any highly qualified applicants for those 2 positions. So,
well, I did talk after I saw that letter, and I did talk to Donna also, and I asked if they're, right now, they've only been on the street since last Thursday. And so they expect some people to apply, we'll see. But I said, what happens if we don't? And I said, and it could happen if we don't get, even with expanded coverage, we may not get both positions. Or either, as most importantly, would be the finance piece for now. So I said, as a backup, we're going to have to consider something, and that could be as much as asking Donna to come back on a separate contract to be able to manage through some of that. So we're going to have to do some more talking about it, and we probably ought to do it before the mid-month meeting. We may have to, let's see how I would recommend we wait and see through the week what happens and see where we stand, and then maybe have a special meeting on the issue, maybe to look at options. Kevin?
What were you thinking as far as expansion?
well, I would think we're remiss in not doing our due diligence if we don't get something in the Pueblo paper, Colorado Springs paper, Salida, Fremont County.
Canyon?
That's my opinion.
Yeah, it is. And Facebook too, actually.
I feel differently about waiting. We're 4 weeks away from
Right.
being without a finance director for this county, which in my opinion, is the most important single job in this county.
Actually, if all we're talking about right now is not trying to do something other than the bigger papers, there's other options. You get a hold of professional CPA kind of organizations, spread it through those kinds of sources. But there's no reason why we can't decide now, is there? This is Clint on deciding to spend a few bucks on advertising to get the job applications in the Pueblo and Canyon and others. Does that require a 24-hour notice?
No,
I don't think so. It's business we're doing.
that's just getting a job announcement out there. You don't have to have that as an agenda.
Yeah, if that's all we want to do right now, I think that's other than other options to discuss. I think that's a great idea. So I'll move we do that. Let's expand it to Pueblo, Custer County, or Canyon City. What was the other option? The Fremont County newspapers. There's 2 of them in there.
I think they're both owned by the Daily Record, the Daily Record and the Shopper. Are
Wouldn't hurt
both,
to put it in Salida here.
yeah, Pueblo, Canyon City, Salida.
Okay, Canyon, Salida. Any others? And I'll call that the.
You mentioned Colorado Springs.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm not sure what the Springs papers are.
Springs Gazette.
Is that?
Yeah, I would think the Daily Record, the Pueblo Chieftain, the Mountain Mail.
Yeah. Any others? I think that's good enough to try, huh? We ought to run it for 2 weeks and leave it open.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, I think that probably should say that posting will remain open until the job is filled.
I think that's what it says already.
So if we get qualified applicants before your ads run out, there's nothing to preclude us from.
Well, we could stop and do
Stop it.
anytime.
You can stop it. Okay, here a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, then moving second to expand the advertising for the two positions, HR, what is it? The HR is combined with payroll and then the finance director job. Then moving second, any other discussion?
Vernon just sent a text and asked me if we wanted to send those to Indeed, which is an online job.
Somebody mentioned that the other day and that'd be a great idea.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Okay, to include Indeed. All in favor, Commissioner Day,
Aye.
Mr. Flower,
Aye.
Mr. Kanda, aye.
And who's going to do that?
I'll talk to Donna because I started that already. So I'll get a hold of her and get them posted. Anything else on that?
No, sir.
Okay. Attorney, well, see, from my point of view, big item was working this zoning and STRs, getting our comments together. It's going to be a good meeting tomorrow. We do have a Justice Center meeting also to prepare for tomorrow on the call. I just want to remind you, there's not a Zoom, it's a conference call tomorrow for the polling discussion with the Justice Center issues. And I haven't heard either. We have a meeting on Monday, the Justice Center meeting. We don't know, there's no agenda on it. It's just our normal get together, correct, with the committee. And that's all I had for that.
That call is 10 o'clock tomorrow.
Mhm.
No, it's.
Tomorrow's
nine.
Tomorrow it's 9
Nine.
and 10 is the discussion on the zoning.
Okay.
And then we do have a tower meeting, so we'll know more. We can ask them where we stand if they've gotten anything to Tony. I'll see if I can get a hold of Christie before then. Okay. Attorney,
You contacted me, you were talking to me yesterday about, I'm talking to you, Chairman Kanda, about doing a resolution or a proclamation to support Custer County stock growers, which that's how you have it listed on the agenda today. So I did some work on that last night. Weld County today is passing a proclamation declaring a Cattlemen's Day, and they're going to have a big barbecue and everything else. This is in response to Governor Polis's proclamation for a meat out, which could be
Veggie
three
day.
different ways, I guess.
meet out.
Anyway, it's for people to not eat meat on March 21st. Because in his proclamation basically says, well, eating, meat is bad for you and everything else. And, so all of the cattlemen and other livestock producers across the state are up in arms about this. And I found a resolution from Montezuma County. Rob Canterbury just brought me one from Moffett County. It was passed yesterday. It looks like they're all using the same format because the one I found, and I actually prepared a draft.
Resolution, not a.
No, it's a draft resolution as a position statement of the Board of County Commissioners, but it would be, and we could talk about it more, I guess.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Agenda item comes up, but that's what I did last night for a few hours.
Thanks for doing that. I know you were walking your dog and that was tough to break loose.
That was tough. And then Rob called me earlier this morning. I was out walking my dog. I could have just been maybe walking all night.
Anything else?
No, that's all I did since yesterday.
Tina, go ahead.
I have no item. Oh,
I was gonna ask if does the attorney voucher us separately for those hours that he
Yeah, walks the dog
and
as he's thinking. I don't know. That's a good question.
I do a lot of.
You get travel money on that. You could turn it into travel list, mileage.
And today it's a bolo day. This is Dark Skies. It's supposed to be the Milky, or not the Milky Way, the Big Dipper.
Okay, let's see, let's have a bolo off. Tina, look at his.
I thought that was a chair, but I guess.
Yeah, well, it's.
Turn toward Tina.
I have a friend of mine for over 70 years, his son makes these bolos, so I bought.
It's more colorful.
Oh, geez.
2 days in a row, I got beat down.
2 days in a row you got beat. Okay, thank you, Tina. That's all the items you have.
Yeah, that's all I have. You won.
All right.
Okay, any public comment on anything that a public would like to bring up to discuss at a later date or get off your chest?
Other than the bolo ties.
Other than bow ties off. Anything lighting up out there? Okay, thanks.
Steak fry at the airport.
Speaking of the airport, Mr. Legree, what do you got? Go, he's gonna let the ops guy talk.
Well, listen, we'll go start with the general
Speak up loud.
information for the month of February. Total fuel sales, 145.1 gallons. Totaling $544.10. That leaves us 1,806 gallons in the tank as we speak. Slow month, but weather considered.
Weathered out pretty much.
I've been in contact with the AWAS installation crew. They will start this coming Saturday, the 6th, and work through the weekend and hopefully have everything done by Monday.
What's the name of that company, sir?
EWI.
Excuse me?
What's the name of that company that's doing that?
It's a real good question.
It's AWI.
Yeah, but I
And
think
they have a
to-
sub.
Yeah,
that
to
is
another,
exclusively their
Yeah.
sub.
some company that's authorized by the FAA to do the install. I'll have that info next meeting, but I'll be working with them throughout the weekend, make sure there's no more delays. And we call this thing done. So,
You haven't heard from the frequency guy, whether it's been approved?
yeah, I don't think they'll commission it. They're still waiting on the FCC for the license grant.
Right.
So that should be next few weeks.
You got his phone numbers.
So, but that's good news considering all the delays. So we'll see how it goes,
Good.
you know.
Yeah, and I contacted Julie with Armstrong and sent her on them too. Said we're still waiting
Saw
for
that
AWAS. So she emailed them and I don't know if she's heard anything back from them or not.
She has.
And I know I should know that. I'm sorry,
Go
sir.
ahead.
This is a new frequency then that you're getting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we already have it. I don't remember. It's 119.25, I think, something like that.
Yeah, I think this is up in the 135 area, you know, for, you know, planes flying in, you know. But either way, they'll get the equipment installed. So when the FCC hits the go button, this thing can be flicked on and
Plus, you'll be able to read it there. That's the intent, right? You'll get a printout and you can tell people that are asking what the weather is if they called you personally.
I suppose, yeah, and I
That's what they-
believe there's a way to get it online too, or make a phone call, because it should have a, you know, like any AWAS is kind of a phone number you can call into, you know, like if you were calling Fremont County, it would.
I had another request, and it's a good one. Somebody needs to get a hold of AirNav and get the fact that we've got fuel here and a rental car and the AWAS coming, you know, that find out what it takes to get on there. That's a big deal. People look at it and they especially look at rental cars. I don't think our rental car is showing up on it.
Okay.
We already have our fuel on there and have
Yeah, you have that on there. Yeah.
current price.
You do, good.
So we just need some of that other stuff updated, I guess. Okay.
Okay. Anything else on that?
That's all I have. Len?
Well, we talked to AWAS. That's, I gave you that little map of our last meeting. We had way too long a discussion on where to put
Or to put the fuel?
yeah, where to put the fuel. You see the little chicken scratch there.
Below the picture, that white airplane. sitting there.
Right.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
It is hard to
that's,
see.
yeah, that's where Brian
Okay.
is thinking about suggesting that we put our new avgas tank. But we're not sure yet. We're not locked into anything.
We were thinking about sliding it down to the corner too.
So that you still got the wing swing. If you ever get the jet fuel in,
That would be
everything would
good.
just move.
So you can move it on either side of
Yeah.
that then. I mean, people could fuel up on both sides.
Yes. So no matter where we go with it, there or right behind where the current position is, we're gonna need a pad poured anyway, so. Just thinking ahead
Got the specs on
about
the
that.
bag.
No, I tried to get a hold of Brian yesterday and I don't know if he's gone, but. Was he?
Roughly, size of a hangar twice,
I don't,
or 30 by 30 hangar. I don't know.
yeah, I don't, he was working on getting specs from these fuel people.
Yeah.
On what that pad needed to be, so.
So this is the proposed new location for the fuel farm or just
Kinda.
for the tank?
Yeah, that's where we're thinking about, just for the new fuel farm.
Which these two black rectangles would go away.
Yeah. That would be, that's Armstrong's design.
Good
That was
idea.
the,
Because that was a better ramp too.
Yeah, that was if Lot 6 came aboard, remember that whole deal?
Yeah.
So if we're thinking about doing it on our own, that's kind of where we're thinking about putting in just that little chicken scratch area for now. And you still got room for jet fuel down the road if that ever happens.
When are they planning on delivering the tank?
We talked about that this morning. Last we heard was May, maybe April, May sometime. So we'll be needing to decide pretty quick. where
So you got,
we're-
yeah, you got time. You get
Right.
stuff together here in a couple of weeks.
Right,
Let us know how we're going to proceed.
yeah.
So you think the recommendation from the board is going to be to change the location to
Yeah,
this instead of where it's at now?
right.
What kind of money are we talking?
Well, when we talked before, he was thinking around 50, but I don't know. Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Unbudgeted,
So it depends on, yeah, depends on
You
the
got some
specs.
budgeted, don't you? You got 20,
For what?
that tank. When they did it, when we approved it for 70K or whatever we approved, it
No,
was 80
that was the whole tank cost.
That was the sale cost of the
Yeah.
tank.
tank and then.
So,
then you
but we
had
do
that- that
have,
Margin on it.
Yeah, we do have some in there for capital improvements that was going to go towards runway maintenance for this year
Mhm.
that stayed in there.
I was gonna say, we didn't budget any for this year, but carryover.
Yeah, just
Correct.
carry on. And on that tank, if the tank's coming in under what you all said it was X, and then you said we better add another 10 or
Right.
whatever.
It looks like it'll be a little less, but
Okay,
we'll see time it gets here.
that's what we got to get the number.
Like I said, no matter what we do, we're gonna need the specs for this pad.
Mhm.
Because if we leave it kind of where it is, right behind the existing fuel pump, we're still gonna need a pad for it.
Right.
So,
That'd be crazy to, my view, to spend money on that and then spend double that again to move it.
yeah, unless you end up with two systems, one for jet fuel and one for avgas, which is also done, but
True. Well, keep working.
we'll keep talking, but we will try to get back with you. We'll try to get a decision made at our next meeting on where so we can get a proposal to you guys.
Get a plan together.
Do you know where you're at with your budget so far this year?
I think, yeah, JC's keeping us pretty abreast and we talk about that at each one of our meetings, so. All is well at this point.
Yeah, the only thing that was budgeted was repairs and maintenance, which wouldn't have anything to do with this.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, no, we didn't have anything budgeted for,
That's all you had is your capital plan that you moved around.
yeah,
We do have some, there's possible a few bucks are going to be left over on the AWAS that we could probably justify if we're going to move any electric from the AWAS to support moving things.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was some miscommunications as to getting that meter on that pedestal from Sangre. But finally got that done. So
Oh, it is
we
now.
do have a meter there, and that panel for AWAS folks
show
to
up,
come and do
huh?
their thing. It's all hot and it's ready to go. So
Good.
we'll just get the AWAS people to get their tower up. We'll be good. So,
The left hand didn't know where the meter was at the right
well,
hand.
yeah, I don't know if you talked to Bubba, but
Oh, it's okay.
I called Bubba and asked him, what's the story with that? He said, well, they're waiting for something from the state. Well, I said, the state's put their sticker on the pedestal. Well, he said, they never contacted us, and somewhere it all,
Came
the
together.
ball got dropped. And so I guess they got a hold of the state. He said, put a meter on it. So they did.
When's your next meeting?
Our next meeting is, what is that, 18? Does that look right?
Yeah.
The third Thursday.
Third Thursday.
Yeah.
Is that the 18th, right?
I think, looking at that, I think it's the 18th. Yeah. Then we kind of locked in August 7th for our Air Fest. We're going to shoot for that date.
That's in between other county events, right? Seems like there was a
Yeah,
festival of some kind going.
yeah. I did contact
You'll want to get
Gary.
the rental cars on for that.
Yeah, Sharon's doing a really good job of promoting ads for those cars. She's got the cost for those metal
Magnetic signs.
Yeah, and she was going to push that, and I'll bet we have some signs on those cars before too long. So,
Good.
yeah. And I did talk to Gary about an above ground diesel tag, so we don't have to keep coming to town with 5-gallon jugs for diesel for the tractor. He said he'd look around. He didn't have any at the shop area for now. So but he thought he remembered seeing someone somewhere around the county, but he didn't know where.
And you can get one if you looked into, I don't know if Acorn's still doing them, but you can get them delivered and not own it until it temporarily is,
Yeah, he did ask me about size. So I told him a couple 100 gallons. Is that what they are?
500,
200-300.
probably that. You can get them as small as a couple hundred.
Work on that. So we'll put that kind of where the courtesy cars are now, parked somewhere in that, to the north of the ops building. What we were thinking. So
It's a good idea.
we can quit coming to town with little 5-gallon jugs and taking them back out.
Well, and the plow or the grader that might be out there, you
Right.
can tank up without driving back.
He thought that too, that'd be good. So he might go bigger than what I mentioned,
Idea.
because then they would have the fuel options out there also for equipment. So,
Okay.
all right. That's about all I got. Mr. Jolly, you got anything you?
All is well.
All is well.
Yeah.
Questions? Comments?
Answered mine.
Get out of here.
Then you're right on the money.
Well, we'll,
Practice.
like I said, we'll try to get somewhere location locked in and decide where we want to go with that tank.
Hangars under construction still or not?
Nothing new at this point, other than what's already in process. I guess there's going to be a big one go across from the ops building this spring, that pad's poured. So that'll go up. Right, Mr. McDonald? Yeah,
Al, that'll be starting within the next 3 to 4 weeks,
yeah.
not 80 by 70 by 70.
That's his west of the.
Right. Of our building, county building.
Still think about running the water line behind there.
Hadn't been any more discussion of that. We've been
Keep thinking.
worried about this AWAS and fuel for now.
Just dig and put water in, take advantage of it, cap it.
It'd be nice to get the AWAS off our plate and be done with that.
Yeah, I never dreamt it'd be this big a deal.
I know, we didn't either.
Cluster.
Tell you what has been going well, the state and us have been lockstep, man. I turn on the, load the invoice and Donna gets them ready, shoot it. It's an instant turnaround, isn't it?
Yeah, it has been
We've
excellent.
been fully reimbursed for everything. we've
Great.
spent on
Great.
it. A good deal.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you guys. Yeah. Thanks for all your support.
Okay, how about the HR finance chief? Ready?
Ready. I don't have a report though, since I don't have any of my bills, but I'm here.
Any issues? Anything you want to tell us? Did you hear us talking about getting the, I was going to come and talk to you about trying to expand the advertising.
And
for
I
the position.
was not listening.
Okay, I'll come and talk to you after the meeting. Any other flukies?
20 and a half days.
But who's counting?
See you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Mr. Jolly, how are you?
The handwrittens, I just don't have my bills yet, the last electric bills, but it's only the 3rd. I mean, it's just a quick, when it's that early, the first week.
The only thing, yeah, that's the third, things are coming around. Only thing that might happen, it depend on these advertisings, how we do it, we may have a special meeting with you and all of us to come up with a way forward plans, what we were talking about later. So how to
Yeah, I'm
cover
absolutely willing to give a hand, but I'm not willing to be that person.
full time.
To stay on.
Right.
That's kind of how it ended up being broke, that I just kept doing it, even though I was having terrible burnout, so.
Commissioner Camden mentioned this morning that he suggested we might entertain the idea, if necessary, to contract you.
And almost
Afterwards.
everything that I could do it almost all by phone. It would be real
But I mean, contract you to continue to do
Right.
your job
on their.
after your retirement date.
And as far as being
I get it, that's probably not an option.
on there, not to
Okay.
be here every day. I mean,
Okay.
we need to get someone in there because it will be, and I know there's someone out there. There's somebody out there that it will be awesome. We just need to find them. And it's just not that horrible. It's not like I'm some form of rocket scientist that it can absolutely be done. You split it in two.
You're not a rocket scientist, you're a finance.
On there.
rocket.
She's a rock star. Absolutely. The ability to make it happen is absolutely there. We just have to find.
But you are willing to help, like you said. And
Absolutely.
we've got to look at solutions, and especially we'll see how this next week of advertising goes, especially after we increase the area.
On there, but,
And then we're
all
going to
it
have to get
takes is
serious.
one, and you would have the payroll, and then maybe to find out you could put it back together and have 1.5, or do some, doesn't have to be cut in stone, that it's just find that
Sure.
one, at least one person to.
But what we, there, and we don't need to take up the time now. We can. We got a little bit of time, but bottom line is, if we have to, we can get a professional CPA in here, and you can guide them over the phone or whatever on doing certain things. Who knows? I mean, there's options, and that's what we're looking for the help with. If we have.
But yeah, I'm sure there's someone, they just not saw the article yet or something. Kathy had a lot of input in her email yesterday of all the places she's contacted, so I told her it'd be great if she got with y'all
Mhm.
on there, so.
Speaking of Miss Kathy, what's the status? She sent us that email. I think you were
Yeah, I
included on it.
was on there, is, I honestly don't know. I mean, I'm not willing to give my keys to a volunteer. I feel that's, I mean, I don't ask Kelly for keys to her office and her phone. And I'm an employee, so I'm not sure that that's quite appropriate, but if y'all tell me different, that's fine.
So technically though, she's done, right?
On there.
February 28th was her last, or 26th was her last day.
On there. I think she's gonna come today. She had an appointment earlier. She came in briefly yesterday, but she had a plumbing thing. I just don't look at my
So,
texts.
so tell me this then, because she wanted to know if it was okay if she volunteered, and I said, yes, we all did. But there's certain things she can't do as a volunteer, is what you're saying.
Right,
And is there anything that can help at all?
there's folding vouchers and doing I think the menial tasks that she referred to. But that, because I can't, like right now, I'm doing the balance out and I'm doing the accounting. Well,
What does she get in the way doing that? I mean,
no,
if there's
because I'm
anything we
just
can
doing
do
it, so
to
I
keep
couldn't be
going.
teaching her something else while I'm doing the balance out or doing those. But there's, things she could go through files or, different, but really the office is in pretty good shape. I mean, I really strive to get it ready for me to slide out
Transition.
that door and have somebody come right through.
Well, I would personally think that that's up to you if you need a volunteer or not.
But I
You
just
have a
would
better
like
feel for it than we would. It's
some,
none of our business, really.
but it seems like it has been your business since she's, doing the emails to all of us rather than just me. I don't feel real comfortable about giving my keys out to someone that's not an employee. And not that that's a bad thing, but I don't have a key to your office.
Well, I assumed when she said she was going to volunteer that it would be during business hours.
That's
Right?
what
What's
I
the
had.
key issue? I don't.
But she wanted to come in on the weekend because she had missed Thursday and Friday and.
Well, she's trying to make up,
On there and.
but as far as,
But it was a volunteer spot, so
okay, I understand that, but there's no issue during the business day. So that's up to you, Donna, if you can think she's
If I have
helpful.
something, I'm more than, but it just right at.
Well, and the other way to look at it, to
Balance out, I
look
don't
beyond, I know you're focused on what your closeout is, but looking beyond, is there any value to having her continue to do the things to stay current to help the next person coming in? That's.
What she has worked on is the bills payable, and that would be awesome if she helped them, but
Well,
on the 3rd of March, there is no bills payable right now.
right, so
It's later on.
get it, got it.
That's, that's where that time is. We don't have any bills right now. Thank goodness.
But she's willing to keep the door open and you are, right?
Right,
Okay.
but,
So we voted this morning to expand our vacancy announcement to Springs Gazette, Pueblo Chieftain, Mountain, Salida, and the Daily Record in Canyon. So do you think we should be doing, pardon?
You also said you were going to post it in Indeed.
Oh, and Indeed on that job website. Do you think there's other places that you're aware of that we should be advertising or not?
yeah,
So-
I know there's somebody out there and it's going to happen.
There's not a trade association that we're not aware of.
There's other counties, but most, if somebody's going to move from a different county, we're talking quite a bit of time for
well,
relocation and all that. If you wanted to send it to CCI and have, Eric or whoever's in charge at that place now and
Bergman,
get it on there.
I think so.
yeah, that might be a good idea.
Not a bad idea.
That, kind of out there that people that are.
Eric Bergman.
I got a number for you, Tina, and it's not just Eric. There's our district area person, Jeannie Pingino. Yeah, you got it.
But maybe they just happen to know somebody who's looking.
Yeah, we could just send her a copy of the announcements and they
Yeah.
put it wherever it's appropriate.
So,
I think.
So can you work with Tina to get the job application and, which you have, and it says it's going to stay open until filled kind of thing, whatever we had on, I think it's appropriate.
Right. Oh, yeah. I think whatever is on the website is perfect. Well, and that could be that she just sends the link to the website that we put on the ad in the paper that they can click on. And it gives you
Bring
an
it
application,
up.
the job description, all of it.
And then we get the newspapers to pull that in and print it.
Just the same posting, yeah, that it's, because it's real nice that they have it all out there, that you can just click on it, fill it out. It's readable, email it all back.
Okay.
And I don't know. I think my math is just a little different. I think it's 20 3/4.
Well, if I talk a little longer, yeah.
Sorry.
When's the next person?
Not to burst your bubble or anything.
So no happy dance yet.
No happy dance, you got 3 weeks solid. Does that mean we have to have her party after she's gone?
No, I think we should have it before.
Okay.
Yeah, go on. Have a
Wait a minute, what party?
every day, but now it's over. Y'all don't have to put up with me no more and my Nazis.
That's not true. All right.
I brought the 20 and a half, just saying. I figured I couldn't remember that far.
That was the one report.
Wait a minute, you're the finance numbers guy.
But they go, how many days is it? Because it's only the 3rd and that's the 31st, but working days is different.
All right, looks like we're running ahead here. If you don't have anything else, you can go be happy somewhere else.
Well, I'm gonna go look and see if the bills are here, and then I might have those to myself and
Okay.
the handwritten report. I just don't have the Black Hills and the San Isabel's yet. So,
That's cool.
all right, awesome.
Thanks, Don.
Thank you.
Thanks, Donna.
Yeah,
We got Virginia's stuff signed already.
right, but
She wanted,
I'm passing it out
right.
now.
We did something.
Well, she came in here and made me sign it.
When I was voting on it.
That's right. She said, I reluctantly did it because she had her mask and a pin on right here.
I've got one.
And she,
Rushed, you know.
I asked her, she said, she got it, she was gone, she's here. I said, she was in a hurry. This is her report.
Yes.
I did ask her if there was anything, she hadn't, there wasn't anything abnormal in her tracking's all she said. And she was gonna go study it. So, looks like things are coming in. It looks like you got a beginning balance. It's about $500,000. Yeah, since I got insurance. I move we accept the treasurer's report as presented.
Point of order, I
I want to
think.
ratify it, I'll call it a ratification.
Yeah, here we are ratifying another document. I think that's the appropriate. Doesn't matter whether we accept it or not. We need to deal with whether we're going to ratify you signing it or not.
So I'll move on, we ratify.
I will second it.
Excuse me, I'm still looking numbers over here, so.
Understand those numbers after just being on the job for 2 months.
There's a couple of things that I kind of see, but
I've never understood it for 7 years.
now there's a column on Donna's that she tells me I need to watch for, but it's not on Virginia's report.
And Virginia rolls it all up.
But yeah, I think it's just, if we were on discussion.
Yep.
That it would be better if we were accepting before signatures rather than
That's right.
ratifying afterwards. I have to agree with that.
I do too, and I didn't have a problem though with this, given the circumstances, so there's things happen,
Yeah, what were the circumstances? I don't understand that.
just for personal discussion. So, Go with that. And I made the call and that's the way, it's 10 minutes ago. Or an hour now, but I agree. Other discussion?
I have none.
Kelly?
None here.
None here either. So I'll call for the vote. Commissioner Day,
Aye.
Mr. Flower,
I'll vote aye with the caveat that we try to minimize this as I requested
Before.
yesterday.
Kanda, aye. Okay, Vernon, you're up.
Okay. Good morning, all.
Good morning, sir.
How we doing?
We're doing well. Busy month, busy times, but we're moving forward.
That's good. Your forward is better.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I don't really have a lot to report, just standard IT stuff, working on website work, making certain all the data flows correctly, working on a new security project for the sheriff's office. We'll give a full report on that next month, but we're moving forward. They got some grant money that we get to work with, so just beef up a little bit of the security and cameras around the system, so that's a good thing. Setting up new computers for different entities. I've got got quotes out or getting a quote from Dell for the computers for Wetmore. Same deal with the sheriff's office. He needs some new computers over there that he budgeted for, so we're moving forward.
And a computer for Reggie.
Already got it. Already did it. Yep.
So everything's handled budget wise.
Yes, sir. Yep. We're not going over budget anywhere in that regard.
Good.
Yep.
And her email address is Reggie at.
Yep. And it's all set up. Put it on her computer. She also has access to all the Facebook pages. We're meeting later today to go over some of those processes and to meet with Dr. Brown about public health notifications, that type of thing. So we're meeting about an hour for that.
Yeah. Okay. Seems like somebody else had a computer problem, maybe.
We moved a computer over in the DHS. Were there other computer issues?
That was it.
Okay. Yeah, they removed. They remodeled their office a little bit, so we moved a computer around.
Gosh, it's so boring when things are going.
Well, when things are going well, yes. Don't have anything fun to report right now. Which is how it needs to be. It needs to be quiet. IT needs to be quietly in the background.
So we're good with the Mr. White and his antenna.
Yes, thank you for moving forward on that one. He's going to be sending us some documents shortly, and they're going to be working with CenturyLink to.
You had a meeting with him after he left.
Yes, sir. Yeah, talked about a few things. So that's going to help us out. It's not game changer, but it does make our infrastructure robust and makes us more, our communication more solid.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there anything else? Is there anything from you guys that I need to be working on that you feel like? I know you would like a new computer, and
Oh, you do?
I'm working on
I
that.
know that.
I'm working on that. Yeah.
Better not ask us.
I'd like the record to reflect that. If you did know that, I wasn't sure you did.
Yes, I did. I do.
We want to be able to ask for something that you can actually get done for us.
Right.
We don't want to ask for this guy.
Well, the money is there, but in March, it's scary to be spending a limited budget.
So what, you want me to wait until December and find the computer until December?
Well, if we can do, we'll figure something out. We'll figure something
Yeah,
out.
I'm all for the library and Reggie
Uh-huh.
getting computers.
Okay.
Doesn't matter if mine's functional or not. How's that?
Well, no.
So my apologies, maybe you should have got mine and I could have had yours.
No, you wouldn't want them. I'll tell you, it's
It's
frustrating.
the T button. Well, just bring it by the office. We'll refurb it. We'll clean it up and refurb it
Okay.
and see what we can see what's going on.
You're not gonna take my shopping websites off, are you? I've got those all bookmarked. You don't want to hear that?
That's not what you're shopping for.
Oh.
No add-ons, no
Yeah.
browser add-ons, please.
Yeah.
Oh, and I need to reiterate, I've been noticing around the county, I need to reiterate policy for the record. No cell phones plugged into county computers. No cell
Or
phones plugged,
Non-county issued thumb drives,
or
correct?
non-county issued thumb drives or unauthorized peripherals. It is very dangerous.
Well, we have a meeting to deal with policies and procedures, I think sometime, so not sure when that is. Or is it just the agenda item?
So that would be for charging.
Yeah,
There's
for nothing
personnel
charging.
policy.
I make exceptions for the sheriff's
March
office because
26th.
they have to download pictures from their phones, but they have very limited use for browsing and such on their phones. So there's a higher security level with their cell phones through FirstNet and some of the add-ons that I put on. But it is very dangerous to put cell phones and unauthorized peripherals onto county computers. So I just need to reiterate that. I'll send out an email.
Right.
We talked about it about 2 years ago, I think, made a policy, but I just
Might
wanted
want to round up some thumb drives for everybody.
to. Yes, I
Seriously.
do keep a stock. So if anybody needs a thumb drive, I have.
I know Sheriff gave me a thumb drive to put the briefing on for the Justice Center. It was his thumb drive. I don't know where he got it. It was empty.
understand.
That's the problem.
That's the problem. So
This is the
he
issue.
put it on there.
The largest hack in US government history was on the Pentagon. And it was because
Yeah.
Russian agents put thumb drives underneath the windshield wipers of
Yeah,
of
that's right,
cars.
exactly what happened.
Yep.
So that's
The
why I said,
same thing, similar thing happened to the IRS a couple years back.
Yep. That's why I said that perhaps you ought to issue all the departments several
I'll do
thumb
that.
drives rather
That's a
than
good
ask
plan.
for
I'll do
them.
that.
Otherwise, they just grab the first thing that they got.
I'll do that.
I don't
Good
think
plan.
Shannon, I mean, he knew what he had. It was,
He's very computer savvy.
sure. But not everybody is.
So we have a workshop scheduled on the 26th, right, to look at the policies and
Correct.
procedures, not just the personnel policy.
No, it's
Oh,
all policy
Okay.
procedures.
So I would suggest we have Mr. IT man
Okay.
involved in that meeting as well. I don't know who the invitees are gonna be, but
It's gonna be everybody has a dog in that fight.
You know, I don't want to make enemies, but we just can't
It
afford
doesn't
to
make enemies.
to
That's
fight,
part of the-
to fight
part of the
other fronts
policy, part of the
too.
procedure.
This is true. This is true. Yes.
We couldn't do it in the military. We couldn't do it at major companies like Raytheon, Lockheed.
And if there's question, I mean, if someone gives you, let's say the sheriff gives, and your computers are a little bit more isolated. The other computers that we use in the offices are not. I have a computer set up to test that type of thing. So if someone gives you peripheral or excuse me, a thumb drive or something with vital information, we can run a quick test on it, and that's no issues.
And then there,
Plugging it in ours.
Well, yes, exactly, exactly.
and there are other ways too that are expensive. When we've talked about getting a VPN kind of connection on the phones, the Outlook, so we can put our emails on,
Oh,
so we can get it if we're using our own phone and still have it secure.
yes.
Rather than getting something different on this computer and you can't sync up when you're out of the office. Those are
Right, we
some
ran
things
into that with
right.
we had to
So that's what we can discuss
reprogram things a little bit.
during this meeting, and then we've got a budget for things if
Okay.
we decide it's more smart to do something differently.
Okay,
You know,
I'll put together some proposals then.
sure.
The new computers that I got for, for remote access and like the accounting software and such that we're using, CIC, all have VPNs on them. We have a VPN on the building itself, but that's, you don't see that because that's in the basement or that's behind the scenes. You guys don't have to do anything on your computers. But when you start taking your phones out, away, and then bringing them back in and plugging them into county computers, there are viruses and Trojans and whatnot that can live on your phone and then download into a computer when it's plugged in. So that's something we need to really watch out for.
So why would the average county employee plug a phone into a computer?
To charge it. Or pictures, yes.
And the connection's the same. As soon as you plug it in, I mean, not only if you're just doing it to charge,
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
it'll
what you're
transfer
gonna do.
data at the same time.
That's right.
Plugged in is plugged in.
Yes.
I wouldn't even remotely begin to think about plugging my phone into this computer. Never crossed my mind. Wouldn't even know why I would do that.
I had done it with my personal computer while traveling because a lot of your motels or something, they do not have a USB port, and a lot of the chargers are USB plugins. So I will plug my phone into my personal computer to charge it.
You bet.
Never done it. So
So
I have.
I send all my pictures via email if I want them on this computer. I wouldn't. Just never thought about it.
Yeah, I've used them, both computers to charge with before, without thinking about it.
And it's just something that's been ingrained in us, the sheer connectivity of the world that the tech companies are actually forcing
They're
on us.
making it so the tech companies are controlling us. That's what's
This
happening.
is true. This is true. Don't ever believe their lies when they say that the phone isn't listening to you.
And it's perfectly safe. We're secure. All those phone companies do. Your data is secure with us.
And they say that if you read their legal disclaimer, it's like saying, I don't know, number one antiperspirant. Well, legally they can make certain claims using certain wording.
Right.
And so if they say it's secure, well, it's sort of secure. And that's really because
one person said it's secure.
And that's really because hacks at this point are a way of life. It's just accepted.
Right.
And the emphasis is somewhat on prevention, but also on recovery on the back end, which is very expensive and difficult and time consuming and then you've lost data. And so it's not right. It's where we are in the world today. So anyway, I'll have some proposals and I have thumb drives, but I'll order more for people to use if they do. So.
Yeah, I think we ought to get them cheap.
Yeah.
And they're gigabits.
I get $3 for 32 gigs. So
more than we need.
$3 a piece.
$3 a piece, yeah.
So we got to take 100 times 3.
Well, I wouldn't buy that level.
Look at all the employees. I'm looking at all the employees.
No,
that's more.
If they can, that's why we have the server too. If they need to transfer data, we have a server that transfers data. We do that. For instance, from Virginia to JD, we just
and that's what
put it into a company folder and they utilize.
And they got a piece of paper and says, "Hey, go to here, and here's the link, and go dump your stuff here." So everybody has the same
yes
groundwork foundation.
Exactly. We do have that file share system. So.
Well, I'll bring it up.
Okay.
I continue to get complaints about people's inability to navigate our website. You and I talked about the most recent one yesterday, but
who had a problem this morning not getting.
Well, I'm not going to throw out names.
That happened this morning.
But, yeah, I don't know. I
don't know why
I sent specific instructions how to address the issue yesterday to the inquirer and sent me an email back and said never could find it. I sent him the link that you provided to me to YouTube, but I'm gonna guess it's an indictment on the average citizen getting on our website. I'm not saying you're doing a crappy job of putting that website together. That's not my point. I just don't know what to tell people other than to say you go to the website and it's under a department. I don't go and check every department's website to see if it's,
Right.
I don't know what this deal is, but.
So we sent out some emails to all the department heads and elected officials, asking them to review their section of the website on any changes, to report to us any changes that they would like to see made there. We can make it a priority to redesign the video and agenda access if that's if that's going to be an issue. I want people to access the information. That's why it exists. So if it needs to be more streamlined, we can make it more streamlined. So make it more accessible.
I don't know how you're gonna have it like.
I don't know. It's the links are there. And we even have a menu on the side that directs people directly to the location that they're looking for. So, but we'll review it and try to figure out how to make it more accessible. Maybe even create a singular page dedicated completely to live stream events or all video record. How's that?
Yeah, again, I don't have any answers why I hesitate to even bring it up, but let me pull it up real quick. So, and I do try to look at when I go to this website and say, okay, I'm Joe Blow walking down the street and I'm going to go home and jump on this website and I want to find something. I've had people call and say they can't find the job application for the human resource and finance.
Can you find it now?
Oh, my God. Well, yeah.
The employment page and it's.
Yeah, so you go to resources, which they don't know that. They'd have to look around to figure that out. I get that. That's not unreasonable to ask. I know where to find them, yes. If.
Can't we have an index?
We also have a search function too, that we didn't create an index because everything's listed at the top of the page.
Right.
But we did create
and I've
a
never
search
used the
function
search.
that you can go directly to the
But
employment.
an index could tell you what is under those tabs, right?
Okay.
Some people can read it. They're used to looking in books. They're not used to clicking on a button and then seeing what lights up under the button.
And I'm not here to hammer on you about this. I just want to have a conversation to try to address what I think has been an ongoing problem. Maybe I'm the only one that people email and say, I can't find whatever. I typed in job application on the search bar, which I would think that's what a normal person would do, right? If you're looking for a job application, you type in job application.
Or you drop in the name of the application.
You're cheating because you know you
Well,
built.
that's right, I do.
Yeah, they're not going to type
Okay.
in employment.
All
They're
right.
going to type in a job app, right? Now,
We'll-
I don't mean to
we'll
make
get
it
Several
about
key
this.
words to go to the
I'm
same
just
place.
saying,
Yes, okay.
if we look at it from the average person, if I want to find out minutes, maybe I'll even be smart enough to put in commissioner minutes, right? No idea what'll happen because I've never used it. So
Okay, so we'll refine the search and and we'll create an index.
I don't know. Do you guys generally, do you use the search bar on any website?
I've never had success in some
I never
most
have
search
either. So I'm
bars.
not saying that's the end all.
Because words are not there.
Well, and partly because, for instance, if you type in 2 words, if the websites, or excuse me, if the hosting services search algorithms.
Sorry, sir, don't mean to be rude. We've got a little problem.
Kelly put an order in. We didn't.
Apparently, coffee has been delivered. Apparently, coffee has been delivered. Okay. Certain search algorithms. So if you say commissioner minutes and it's 2 words, and the search algorithm doesn't understand the 2 words, then it's not going to give you where you need to go. But, okay, so thank you for letting me know that. I never use the search.
I don't either.
Because
So this is all new. I've never typed.
so why don't I would make it a point to refine the search engine, to create an index, and to basically try and figure out a way to make the information more accessible. Does
Yeah,
that sound like a plan?
yeah, I think we just gotta keep trying to make a stab at it, I think.
Okay.
I don't know.
I know I've struggled a little after the changeover, but I was used to the old site, and I think probably if you look around,
Easy.
we're not the 18-year-old techie people, that's probably where part of the problem lies.
Well, at least we know how to eloquently express that
Right.
fact and not,
Yeah,
and then we don't use emojis.
yeah. I would guess if the
Frowny face emoji.
three of us can
Or
navigate this
abbreviation.
website.
LOL, you.
Yes, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
I know you still have a banner on here that says until further notice, all public meetings will be accessible via Zoom. Click here.
Well, I
to
think I took down
access.
all.
So that's
Because
not really
some
true.
public meetings are and some are not.
Right, yeah, that's my
So,
point. So
Do you want me to take that banner down? Because,
personally, I think we should because we're not Zooming all of our meetings, correct?
We never have.
well, actually, we did.
We
Almost
were.
all the meetings became.
Well, there
Right.
were still telephone calls or conference calls and.
Well, it was handled through Zoom.
It was
though,
handled
right?
through, yeah.
Some of them.
So,
So I don't know,
that's
I
why,
just
that's why
wonder-
you guys had me put that up there, was
Right.
because people were not
Right.
finding the individual
Right.
place. The justice, they wanted to go to the Justice Center, but
Right.
that wasn't posted. Oh, I
That's
don't
right. Some
have a
were,
website for
some
Justice
were
Center.
YouTube, some were not. And it's been confusing for them.
so I don't know,
Other directions to go to YouTube and.
Yes, they're all
I
there.
think we're changing a little, so I don't know if that's still an appropriate banner or not. I'm just
Okay.
asking.
What would you like to, because if we take it down, are people going to, in the past, basically, people could not find
Right,
the live stream easily enough.
Yeah.
So if I take that
Should
down,
we say, how about losing the first line and just say, please click here to access Zoom meetings?
okay,
And
to access.
take down the until further notice.
okay,
To access county Zoom meetings,
all right.
maybe.
That way, if they are on Zoom and they want to access them, they have the link right
Right.
there.
Or
Okay,
to access meetings that are Zoom
okay.
meetings
Because that's all predicated on the ID and the
that have been Zoom.
passcodes never changed for our county meetings, correct?
That's correct, yes.
And as
Basically,
long
we-
as that stays the same, then that'd be accurate.
right, we wanted to make certain that if the public needed access to any meeting, or if the meeting needed to be publicly accessible, that there was one place that they go, and so we didn't have multiple, and it helps us all too.
Well, and also maybe you could say that all meetings, every one of them have been recorded and are available, or the records are available. Ask somebody like
But
that.
that's not the case. We don't record our workshop
No,
meetings.
but all records, I don't mean that they're necessarily recorded either. There are meetings that aren't recorded that there are records of or minutes of.
Yeah, and we do have a one-stop shop for all minutes. All published minutes go on the published minutes page. So anytime there's a meeting that has minutes generated, they send them to.
And then
Send
they
them
can
in,
ask
they're
after
published
that if
in
it
our
was a
location.
Zoom or a YouTube feature that was.
That's
on that
after they're
meeting.
accepted.
What's that?
That's after they're
Yes,
accepted.
yeah, after they're accepted.
So can we talk about the process in our county for minutes and recordings and live stream?
Okay,
So minutes don't go up until they've been approved,
yes, sir.
and that's true for us, correct? No draft minutes are officially put on here for any organization in the county that you're aware of.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, all right.
Usually they're all behind.
Yeah.
So
A year or
on
so.
any given meeting that is live streamed,
Mhm.
the meeting's ended, then when can the public expect and how do they go about finding that if they weren't watching it while it was being live streamed?
So generally, we try to stream the meeting to YouTube at the same time as it's being Zoomed.
Okay,
occasionally that glitches out or fails, but generally we try to stream it at the same time as it's being zoomed, so that it appears on YouTube in two categories. It appears as a live stream, and then once that is finished, then it moves into the regular channel. So but they're accessible
Get
on
to
our
that
channel.
regular channel.
Yeah, the links are all over the website. So they are, you can go there.
So again, I'm Joe Blow on the street and I want to go get I'll be careful which meeting I'll use for an example here, because we have a little glitch.
Yeah, well, like I said, there are glitches.
So let's
but
say I
there are-
wanted to
but-
do last Friday, the 26th, 9 a.m. So I'm assuming I'll go to elected officials, commissioners. I want to get the live stream.
Why would you assume you go to elected officials? I would.
Well, because I want to go to that commissioner
But if
meeting.
I'm Joe Blow, I want the minutes of a commissioner's meeting.
Well,
It's not obvious you go to elected
well,
officials.
we're mixing up the minutes with the actual recording of the live stream.
Right, I was just using the live stream as
guess-
an example. So upcoming and archived videos.
I'm sorry.
That's all right, I'm on the commissioner page. I went to elected officials, clicked on commissioners.
We got 5 minutes, guys.
Okay. So so there'd be your 26th meeting right
Okay.
there.
All right, that's the agenda, or this is the
Well, if you
recording?
just wanted to see the
Right.
agenda, it would be there, but if you
But
want to
that's the
actually see the
recording
recording.
column there?
Mhm.
Video,
yes.
okay.
So just bring up that video.
I didn't click on it.
It would,
but-
yes, it does. I clicked on it, yeah. Other meetings that are not this meeting, in the commissioner meeting, they're listed below in the YouTube channel. So
Okay, and YouTube, that icon, red.
well, there's that
bar
one
with YouTube.
icon, and there's also this right here, recorded meetings.
Mm-hmm.
You can go and you can look at all of the meetings that are actually stored on YouTube.
Okay,
One quick
I can
question.
change that if the public feels like that's not accessible enough, we can change that to display differently. I'm sorry, sir. I apologize for interrupting.
I think you have
Go ahead, Kevin, and then
just a quick question in regards to the differences because access between the commissioners meetings and the Board of Health meetings are different. I know people can access the commissioner meetings through YouTube, but not the Board of Health.
The Board of Health, we're putting the Board of Health out on YouTube too. If it
Okay.
occurs right here, we've been streaming it out on YouTube as well.
Okay. I know there was a time or two that I think
There's some, yeah,
get connectivity.
glitches again.
connectivity glitch.
Okay.
It's an adventure of making certain that everything is completely streamlined, and maybe we need to make policies about it and whatnot, just to make certain everybody's on the same page. But
Yeah.
we're getting it. The Board of Health meetings are streamed to YouTube.
Okay. I didn't know how good. Everybody knows people like to kind of come in and watch and listen without necessarily having their name pop up on the screen. And
Indeed, yes.
that's why I think a lot of them go to YouTube.
Yeah.
rather
And we've
than-
seen, and just for numbers, because I love numbers, since we've gone to YouTube, and started this 3 years ago, since we've gone to YouTube, the public involvement with the meetings has gone, in some cases, 100 times, where we might get 3 or 4 people listening to the audio recording that, Kelly gives me the audio recording and I put it up on YouTube as just an audio feed. We might have 50 or 60 people actually watching the video and becoming engaged with county politics. So
Why? Is it because the audio is better?
the audio is the
Shouldn't
same.
matter.
The audio recorded here versus going out, it's basically the same. It's really there's a visual capture. There's public involvement. It captures people's consciousness. Literally subsequent. Sorry. Bad.
Tina, you had something.
My 5 minutes up yet?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, just wanted to also reiterate that they can also go to YouTube, correct? And
Yes.
look for it that
Yeah,
way.
all of them are listed right there on YouTube in a nice, nice format. So they're all there with the county seal and everything.
All right, your 5 minutes is up.
Okay, thank you.
And Adrian's here. We'll have Adrian here, and then we'll take a break.
Thank you.
Take care all.
I had a
Thanks, Vernon.
strategy going there. Got you a slide through. I'm gonna give you guys each a copy of that to take home for your nighttime reading enjoyment. I'll take that original one back. This is more.
What'd you do, front and back on this?
Yeah.
Less.
Yeah, front and back, and
I'll save you that one back then.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. It's been a while since we've through that.
Yeah. And so that'll likely be happening in April and May.
Christie setting something up.
So I'll give you guys some dates. It would be better if you were to tell me what dates you can't meet versus, and then we just try to work it in because there's a large group of people that would have to
Do us a
participate in the
time
meeting.
frame, like 3 weeks in April, what? Talk louder for though.
Yeah, we're talking about the SEPA process. It's one big day, but several mini days before, and then you come together for the big day. So there's like some homework that you have to do, and then we come together for an entire day, and everyone doesn't have to be there for that entire meeting, but you guys might want to be there for the entire meeting where other people can come and go. And so I'll get you some more information on the SEPA process and some dates, and try to schedule it so you don't miss out.
The SEPA.
Yeah, SEPA is the acronym for it.
Not to be confused with SIPA.
Right.
Yeah, it's the
Colorado Emergency Preparedness
Assessment.
Assessment.
Yes.
All right, well, you'll have to let us know the time frame.
Yes, I'll get you some dates, and I'll try to send out like a go-to meeting type thing where some of it will be virtual, some of it, I know that people putting on will be virtual. And we could meet in a common place, but they would present from a virtual platform. That's the discussion that we're having right now. So you have my report. If I was to use one word to summarize the report would be transition. We are in a transitional time, I believe, in the county. We're transitioning out of a focus of COVID-19 into a more broader focus of emergency management on a broader scale, looking at all types of things like fire mitigation, communication.
You're talking about your offices,
The
offices,
office.
not the county.
Yes, the
In
office.
general, okay.
But I think there's an atmosphere of transitioning. I was listening to the news this morning and heard that the governor of Texas, for example, opened the entire state. And so, throughout the country, the incident of COVID is just bottoming. And a lot of people are being vaccinated. So I think there's a transitioning time, and it's just an interesting time. We don't know what's over on the horizon, but my focus is starting to shift more toward, in March, there'll be a lot of training and getting caught up on my training qualifications. That's what I'm going to be doing a lot of in March and April to meet those requirements of the position, and then preparing for what could be a very active fire season in 2021. I think the report kind of is brief, but it pretty much speaks to itself. I do want to comment on the IT issue. There is a Homeland Security cybersecurity grant process that we could go through. And I would suggest we take a look at that cybersecurity portion of the Homeland Security Grant to address some of the IT issues that were raised by our IT director just a few minutes ago. Because there is 25 funding available where 75% of the costs could be picked up by a grant for cybersecurity and 25% for the county.
You talked to Vern about it yet?
Not yet, because haven't had a chance.
In passing on other things, that's all I was thinking.
Yeah. So I'll mention that to him. And
So how's your grant, all your grants, Lou? Are you, they're all in, you got a couple approved, you got a truck?
Well,
What's going on?
we're in process. Everything I would say is in process. If you look at the report, the state is in the process of reimbursing us for our fourth quarter report of 2020. We've had to make adjustments to the troublesome fire building reimbursement to meet some new requirements of the state. And so that was done. And so that amount did not change significantly. I think the portion that the OEM portion went down because instead of an actual dollar time for a dollar amount, they went to a 1% amount. So the OEM person preparing the document gets 1% of the total amount, not a hourly rate. So that was a big shift in that. So the amount to road and bridge has not changed, but the amount going to the county for admin has gone down there. The budget, just the expenses for January were taken out of the overall budget, and that's what remains in the OEM budget for today.
So did you receive that reimbursement at the troublesome fire?
No, we have not received that yet, but it's
approved.
It's tentatively approved, and so
What's the NC mean?
no change.
Okay, and NYR on the line above it?
That would be, now you can hit me in my own acronyms, not yet.
You got your grant, it's
Not yet
not yet reimbursed.
Yes.
You probably ought to put that first and then NYR, and then we'll be talked.
I can do that. And so
You've expended $49.95 out of your budget.
That's
Is that
correct.
what we're to read there?
yes, sir.
So then the payroll down below came out of where? Public health?
The payroll has,
Vaccination
that will
payroll.
come out of public health. It does not come out of the OEM budget. So that would come out
Okay.
of
'Cause
public
when I
health.
look at it on your report, I'm assuming it's coming out of your budget.
No, I was just showing that there so that you would be aware that we did have a payroll expense.
Okay,
So you
but
have
through public health,
Through
not
public
through
health,
you.
yes.
So he should be showing us that as
Okay.
well, right? I'm not
Yes.
saying you shouldn't, but we would expect it to show up on his report.
And you got, your hours for that were 18, it looks like, OEM.
OEM volunteer hours, yes. You do have some volunteers.
And I'm assuming those letters are people's initials.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. That's what each of them received for January and February.
I need to make a note that that was not out of your budget, correct?
That is correct.
Public health budget.
And this, some items as we go down the dates. On February 9th, you notice I just put the Homeland Security grant is in flux because of the administration changes and the way that money is flowing through FEMA down to state governments. All of that is kind of in flux. And so the way we receive money in, let's say, 2020 is going to be somewhat different in 2021 and definitely will be different in 2022. So they're sorting through a lot of that item. That's why I put that it's in flux. And then on February 12th, you see there's a lot of training that I'm participating in. And you see the CEPA training is mentioned on that particular date. Scheduling, and I'll get you some dates so that we can look at your overall schedules, make sure I don't schedule the CEPA review on a date that you won't be available to go. Want to let you know that on February 24th, We removed 2 of the virtual signs. We had to basically have Road and Bridge come out to assist us in getting them unfrozen because a lot of things were frozen in there. So we took advantage of the warm weather last week and got all 3. They're currently at the Road and Bridge office. And the main reason that we removed them from their locations is no one could tell us what messages were on the signs anymore. It's like people would drive by them, they were not even looking at the signs anymore. So,
Yeah, I would guess probably those need to be changed weekly to keep people's attention, because I quit reading them too, because I just assumed now. I'd ask my wife, let me rephrase that, I'd look because a little more to it. I'd ask my wife, well, did you see the sign? She I saw it sitting there. I said, what were the messages? Oh, so.
Yeah, it catches your attention the first time you see it. I got a kick out of a couple of them and then it's gone. It's still there.
Yeah. And so, I mean, we've got to, like Tom said, we have to be more diligent about changing the messages or moving the signs around. We have some county locations that we can put them up and then put them back on the state locations. Just to spice it up a little bit.
They've been working though flawlessly so far.
Yeah, they're excellent. We were actually pleasantly surprised with that. Any shot. No, don't suggest that. But no, they've worked flawlessly. But I mean, that's my report. Nothing major, just a lot of changes. I could say, Tom, that for the most part, a lot of the emergency managers at the state level are getting reassigned out of the realm of COVID into their more normal duties.
Out of the vaccination distribution business?
Well, yeah, because that is changing. When you listen to the governor's conference calls on a daily basis and the press releases, information is changing at a rapid pace. I would not be surprised at all, just from the intelligence that I receive, that everyone in the state will be being vaccinated before the end of March. I would say that.
Not everyone.
Everyone who chooses to be vaccinated will be vaccinated, have the opportunity to be vaccinated if they choose to. And I think that will change how we operate our vaccination program here in Custer County. It has to. It has to. I think I mentioned in there the vehicle. I'll just say that I should hear sometime this week whether will be approved by USDA in the grant process. Again, this change in administration has kind of slowed down that process because they're getting some new guidelines on how that's to be spent. They said that it probably would not affect my particular grant, but that doesn't mean that it won't affect that particular grant. They said that we will need to update our documentation just a little bit. That means change a couple dates. So the process will extend further into probably the summertime to receive the vehicles. But I still believe we'll be eligible to receive, that grant. And that's the end of my report, unless you have questions for me.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you. So if we go back up to the top of the report, the special project grant, unless I've been asleep on duty, this is the first I've seen of this. Is this a grant that you've applied for and been approved?
Yes, the EOC box in a box grant.
And it's a 50-50 match?
Yes, it is.
And we agreed to match that?
We've been briefed on it, and he's got the budget.
It comes.
That's what he briefed on.
I'm asking, did we agree to match this grant or not?
Actually, the managers of the various department heads agreed to go along with me on this particular grant.
You don't recall that, Tom?
So it's the IT department, the sheriff's office, and OEM.
So who's coming up with the match?
The sheriff's office.
They've agreed, you said they agreed to
Yes,
come along with you, that means they're gonna kick the money in.
that's,
Okay.
that's correct. So
You
this is,
started that some time ago and I don't see where you brought it up in your notes here, but you.
no, it's in the report for
It's in the-
January to
6,500 each means
No, no,
what?
but that means that the state's putting in 6,500 and the various department.
Okay,
passed
it doesn't
stuff
mean
for the
each
other-
department's
That
putting
is
in,
correct.
it's,
That's
you're
correct.
splitting that.
And what that is a trailer in which we will put all of our EOC equipment in a trailer for rapid deployment.
Okay, I remember that discussion. I didn't know that was the title of it.
Yes.
So what entities then are gonna be kicking in money to that?
IT is going to put some money in,
Okay,
the sheriff's office and the Office of Emergency Management.
okay. That's it, 3.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
$2,000 each.
Sort of.
Or did you talk, it's like Tom Sawyer, did you get them to
I
pay
put
you
in,
to give them the opportunity to
the
give the
vast
money?
majority. And then the sheriff's office is putting in and then IT. And I don't have the numbers right off the top of my head, but I know
And who did that grant come from?
that is a special project grant using money left over from Homeland Security.
Homeland Security one.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And we have a tentative approval on that. We have not been given the go out and purchase, but we've been given a tentative approval that it is approved. But I want to wait till the state
Checks in your hand before you go.
Well, I have to
Everybody else.
spend it first, but I want that check in my hand before I go spend money. And we have vendors all lined up, so it's just a matter of just boom.
And he's got it, I don't know if you remember, but he's talking about a better trailer at a cheaper price. Remember that discussion? To put it in stronger, longer.
And then the match on the USDA grant?
That grant, it's a 100% grant. So
No match
there's
there.
no match there. But the match comes in is they expect
You to outfit
the truck completely. And that's why we want to be able to
sell the other truck.
the other truck as collateral so that they don't pay 100%. They assume some sort of match. There always is a match, but they give you a set amount of money.
Cash in kind here, but
Cash in kind and expect you to finish out the outfit of the truck. So I think we put in a project.
that's why it's a good
cost.
idea that you got the truck overhauled, or it wouldn't have been worth as much. If we decide to sell it.
Yeah, without the
We'd always
engine,
decide
it
to
was
keep it.
worth about 14. With the engine, it's 24.
And if we decided to keep that truck, we'd have to move money around.
Yes.
And then if it benefited other people more, and we can cross that bridge when you get ready to.
Yeah.
So you will come to us to decide to sell it.
Well, I would most definitely have to come to you. I cannot approve an expenditure. It has to have your signature on it.
And with your permission, I think I'll get it. I'd like to use you for an example on, I think, a conversation that needs to go to a higher level, but it would include you as well. And that is back to this policies and procedures thing. You answer to the 3 commissioners in the scheme of things, let's say, as does public health or road and bridge supervisor, whoever, but you're here, so. We sign vacation slips or time off slips for our employees as commissioners. Specifically, Donna and Jackie Hobby are very good about turning theirs in, and Tina, which she hasn't yet, but I know she will because she's working here. I think at some point we need to have a discussion about the expectation and the policies or procedures for everybody that's not an elected official or their employee. I looked at Kelly real quick. What do you think? Your people come to you with a.
Yeah, they have a sheet that they
Right.
fill out, whether if they want sick time or
Right.
vacation time, and I keep track
Right.
of. 'Cause
And does it matter whether they're hourly or salaried? Either one.
Whether you can afford to lose them, you gotta coordinate it.
So I wonder, I know Jackie's good about it. If she needs to go to the dentist appointment, one of us signs her slip. We haven't had this conversation, have we, since you've come on board? And I know we haven't had it with Cliff. And certainly we haven't had it with Road and Bridge. I've had people complain to me about us not knowing when the Road and Bridge supervisor's on a 2-week vacation. Because they've asked me, where's the Road and Bridge guy? I said, I have no idea. Somebody needs to pick up. Well, they know. They said, no, he's not. He's on a 2-week vacation. I wanted to find out if you knew that as a county commissioner. I didn't, and we haven't. And I think that's a huge hole in the process. So I'd like to address
That's why
that.
we're having that meeting.
Well, I doubt this would have ever come up had I not brought it up today. So I want to get it on the record that I think that's one of the things we need to address.
It would have came up
It
because
would
I've
have
had
come
the
up
same
because
calls.
darn straight, there's other issues we've got.
Well, I know there's other issues. I'm talking about this
I
issue.
know.
So and I'm not trying to throw you under the bus. I saw you were off. I looked those days up. Those are Saturdays and Sundays. I get that because you look at your job as 24/7 apparently. But I just think it's a symptom of a larger problem that we need to address.
Yeah, I do too. And I mean, believe me, when I put that on that, what we were going to do that day, it's all people that work for the county, us, work for the three of us.
Okay, I haven't seen anything about the agenda or what
We
the
haven't got that,
purpose
but that was the
or-
reason we had the discussion, and that's why I took it to heart. We scheduled it.
And if I may,
Sure.
I'm totally in favor of having a policy and procedures. I've been drafting some policies and procedures. I think we need to have some guidance, or at least have a manual that everyone can go to and sign policy and procedures. And I think in terms of, let's say, the particular concern, if I want a vacation day or I'm going to take a little comp down or something, I think there should be one person that I need to talk to. There's a span of control and a chain of command. I think it makes it kind of.
Well, there isn't, but there needs to be.
No, I think there needs
Well,
to be.
actually, there is.
I think I need to keep all of you informed on what I'm doing and emergencies, things like that. But it's difficult to have three bosses.
Right. And
That's
why
we're not the
question.
Lone Ranger here. I called that after they got discussing this. I talked to about 4 counties to find out what they were doing. And they're a mixed mosh, and we'll discuss that on that day. But we're not unusual. And in fact, people are hired and are come in under certain expectations. We do work for 3 of us, but there are people that deal back and forth. That happens in a lot of areas. So we need to get serious about it. And I'm all for the right kind of policy. But we are in charge.
Absolutely. But it would be nice if I wanted to, like, say, take a ski day or take a half day off, go skiing. Be nice to have someone know that.
And in fact,
make that call and say, hey.
And that was, no, I'll say assume, but that's why we have points of contact and you do it. And if it was an issue and we look at when you want that ski day, if there was something that Tom was aware of or Kevin, then we make sure that before I would say yes, as the contact for you. Or if that's our policy.
Decisions that need to be made when we get to that point.
Right.
There's no policy about that right now. I can assure you.
It's all been, you work for us and we'll work it with us.
Yeah.
But I digress a little because I'll just use you as an example. So
it's a good point.
No, I think there needs to be, so I have a clear understanding and all of you have a clear understanding.
Until such time, though, I would say the point of contact would be the one that they would need to go to. And
that's what they do.
So if you want a ski day before we have a policy in place, go to your point of contact.
Or before the snow meets.
And the point of contact is?
Yeah.
I know who.
Yeah, I know it is, but I
thought you were OEM. You're OEM point of contact? Okay.
I'm public health.
Yeah,
Get the list out again, just circulate it.
Give
it to everybody.
These are just points that I think we need to get in policy.
I agree.
Because, for example, we're off the rails, but if Adrian requests a time off to go skiing, is that automatically going to be approved?
He's gonna talk to me and I'll decide, because it would depend on, and that's how I took it to heart when I took this job, and they said, here's your point of contact. You be the conduit into the board. And if it's an issue that needs to have a board input, like you're gonna be gone during what we know is gonna be another, maybe it's the Christie and meetings, it's like, I'm not, you know.
And I would never.
But sure, but we don't know that people aren't in there. So I've been operating that way, you know, to make sure. And in fact, I've been talking with Gary on things. Yeah, and what we ought to have in the policy, ought to say, okay, Mr. Contact, then maybe you ought to put a memo out every time something changes so that Tom and Kevin are aware that you're not going to be around. That would be something we need to discuss. We've never had a formal policy other than that we are the executives of the county, and we should take it upon ourselves to make sure our fellow commissioners are engaged on everything.
Yeah, and I think along with that, you know, we talked about that, you know, like if we have a 2-hour delay for county employees. Well,
Who gave it to our
initiate
delay? And I trust, at that time, I think, Tom, you were involved when we took it a delay at one time, and I trusted you to make the decision that the contact.
Well, we have a policy about that.
Well, maybe so, but it doesn't matter. I still trusted you to make the right call. You didn't call me and say, should we take the day off?
Oh, I think I did call.
No,
my
not
commissioner.
before you, not on one of you sure didn't. I mean, it may have been an email or something, but it doesn't matter. It's good courtesy and you should. So I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have cared. I wouldn't have gotten upset if you didn't. That was a call and you're the responsible executive.
Yeah. Facility closure. So we do have a policy about that, but we don't have for a lot of things.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just think this is
It's an
one.
accountability
Enough said, I'm
issue.
ready to move on, but
Right, we're gonna have a big discussion about it. All right, so thank you, unless you got questions for us, because you got 2 minutes left.
Is there any area that you want me to be focusing in the next couple months, any particular area?
Just make sure that
There.
SEPA meeting is spoken in English. And keep it exciting again.
will you be hosting that or will somebody else?
No, someone else is going to
Yeah,
host it, but we all come together.
Right, but you're not hosting.
But he gives input.
I give input, but I'm
Sure.
not hosting.
Okay.
So help us
Well, I
out.
think one of the things we probably need to have a conversation about sometime, this fire was an indicator, the Lowe's thing. OEM's role versus somebody else's role. I think we need to have a conversation about that.
And I've written up a policy procedure.
Yeah, you
I
got
sent
that.
you guys out to take a look at that. And then I think we all learned from the meeting yesterday that we had, having given you a report back. I'm hoping that Shannon will speak to you.
Yeah, we couldn't be there.
Spoke to us all right, but I'd like to get a synopsis of that meeting. I haven't heard a word about that.
So I can prepare kind of synopsis of what happened.
Synopsis is a synopsis.
It's a synopsis. You know, from a perspective, I'll just chime in if I may, is most of us didn't know we were going to have guests there. And
Who did know that?
Hmm?
Who did know you were going to have guests? You said most of you didn't.
We did not know we would have.
So nobody
members
knew.
of the public. Yes, nobody knew that we were going to have a member of the public there. And that changed the whole tone
Collection going.
of that meeting. So we will probably have.
Why would it?
Because we would like to be able to critique how we operate amongst
Experience.
amongst.
Expose your weaknesses.
Yes, but we would like to, as a group, critique how we operate and then come up with procedures of how we're going to operate so that we learn from an exercise. You know, we typically critique any incident. They call them an after action.
Well, this wasn't an after action meeting. Don't paint it like that.
Okay.
It had nothing to do with an action, right?
Well, I would say it was a very important meeting. We got to.
I'm not saying it wasn't important. I'm just saying I don't believe it was an after action meeting.
No, I don't think it was an
Okay?
after
And I've
action.
got an issue with this. I'm going to read what Byerly said.
Do we want to do that publicly?
Yep. Because I'll guarantee you, this is public stuff. We do it every time we meet. We don't get to hide behind and say, well, if the public's here, we can't really talk about that. I don't, and I'm willing to be corrected publicly. I don't have a problem with that. But I'm telling you what I believe and don't believe. When you invite the public to a responder meeting, you essentially kill any discussion. I think that's a travesty. This was a waste of time because of it. I don't know who was there. I don't know who even ran the meeting because we were in a commissioner meeting. But if you're going to hide behind, well, we can't really have an honest conversation with the public. My God, we'd get fried if we tried that. And you're an employee of ours. Now, the fire department can run his meeting however they want. Who ran the meeting? Okay. I had a person ask me about attending the meeting. I said, I have no idea. But I said, you have every right to show up and ask if you can be there. And I thought because it was at the fire department, Nolting was running it. So I told that person, you ask for Matt Nolting and you ask him if you can be in that meeting or not. And if you can't, he'll tell you no. She said, that's fine. But I just don't buy into this. I call you know what on that. It's ridiculous. And I will have a conversation today with Shannon about it as well. But what can't you talk about? Now, I get it if it's a critical incident and somebody burned up in a fire, and you're not going to have that conversation in an after action report with the public. I get that. But
I think there's a lot of confusion as to just exactly what the meeting was before the meeting.
I agree
on
that.
whether who was to be involved and who was not, and what type of meeting it was. So, and
Well,
that may come down from.
What spurred that on, Butch? Kevin's got a good point. Why was it called?
We received a note of a concern and that the concern needed to be addressed.
And the person that raised that concern asked me if she could attend the meeting, and I just reported what I told her. It was a meeting to clarify, right, the process,
Yes,
how that could or should be handled. Was Christie on the call?
she was present.
Good.
Yes.
In person?
Yeah, we had,
Perfect.
Yeah, you pointed that out.
yeah, we had several people.
To who?
We had,
He answered it.
we had the main
Said
committee.
Christie was going to be there. Just he answered you.
He did?
Yeah, he did.
I sent you an email.
No.
Gave you
Yes, he did.
a complete.
He said Christie was invited.
No,
Sure.
he said.
No, I don't
Let me get
want to, I don't want to pick out individual people, but I know that I sent to all of you
Anyway, it
an
doesn't
email
matter.
saying
Well, I think it does matter.
what the meeting was, who was going to be there at the meeting, who would be participating in the meeting. And we had people in the meeting, we had FreeCom in the meeting, we had the state IPAWS, Everbridge coordinator was in the meeting. He actually opened the meeting. We had discussion from FreeCom. We had other emergency managers for surrounding counties, because one of the questions that was raised is if I was not available, who could send out an Everbridge note? So that was clarified amongst all of us how that operated. So that was for the benefit of all the emergency responders. So we had an understanding of how that system operates. So they made it very clear how the Everbridge system is to be used, how the IPAWS system was to be used, and how it's not to be used. And so, quite frankly, the use of the Everbridge system to notify a member of the public or members of the public on that particular incident would not be an approved use of the system. That is not what it's designed for. What should have been done on that small incident, and Shannon was very clear that that would be done in the future, is we should have gone and knocked on doors of the people in that community to make sure that they were made aware of what was going on if they had any issues. And we'll do that better in the future.
So that's Shannon's perspective.
That would be Shannon's perspective, right, that he had some deputies on scene and that those deputies could have gone door to door and let people know what was going on.
Well, could have, should have, we're supposed to, I mean, none of that has been decided right before then. So I just missed your statement right before that, Adrian, when you said that had been decided.
I said that the use of Everbridge for a small incident like that is not what the system is designed to be used for. So Everbridge is not a tool to be used in that particular instance. And so if I had been, let's say, if Matt had been in my position, I had been in his position, another incident commander would have been on that scene. I don't believe that any incident commander on that incident, given those conditions on that day for that particular incident, none of us would have used.
Wouldn't argue with that one bit. But can we use Everbridge for an alert and warning system?
Absolutely.
So we could alert the neighbors that there is a fire in their.
Absolutely.
Okay.
If it was a wildland fire scenario.
No, it didn't say wildland, I said a fire.
But it's not every fire.
But I don't want to mislead you, sir.
Okay.
Once again, for that incident.
No. You already made that point very clear. I'm asking if there is a fire, could the IC use Everbridge to alert people about that? Okay.
Absolutely.
All right,
If the IC made that determination.
Okay, that's what I said. The IC decided.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
very good.
And in this case, he didn't do it because he didn't feel it was necessary. Is that
That is
true?
correct.
I believe
That's
that,
what you
yeah.
told me.
That is correct.
He told you that?
No, and I talked to Matt Nolting too.
That's what I'm saying. Matt said he didn't think it was.
Yeah, it was because it was calm, it was under control. It's just the conditions said it didn't need it.
But I also need to say that this was made very clear in the meeting. From the professional first responder perspective, we see things differently from the average citizen.
Exactly.
So I want to at least say, from the citizen's perspective, they saw the scene differently.
Sure.
And so we have to acknowledge that. A non-professional doesn't mean that they don't know what they're doing. We look at things differently.
Absolutely. That was exactly the conversation Christy Coleman and I had.
And so
who pays for it? That's the big question. That's what Christy said. Who pays for this?
Pays for what, sir?
Everbridge. County, i.e. the citizens pay for it.
The county pay, the citizens pay for it, but the entire state pays for it.
Sure, but we spend county tax dollars on Everbridge. Right? Indirectly.
Absolutely.
We don't write a check to Everbridge, but
yes,
we pay for that service. So therefore, I believe the citizens do have a right to hear this stuff and find out what's going on with Everbridge or whatever else it is. Now, if it's to protect the health, safety, and whatever that umbrella is or that skirt that we have a tendency to hide behind, I get that. But we can't forget, we're spending taxpayer dollars on this and we're accountable to the taxpayers. I think we're accountable to this lady. I think she had a legitimate point. Didn't have to be Everbridge, but I believe there should have been some method of
notification after the fact or during.
But that's why we have Everbridge. Now, the professional people would say to you, well, Everbridge is for critical incidences. Well, I don't agree with that. I think it has the ability, Adrian just confirmed that we could use it for just alert and warning.
Not every meeting, though, needs to be attended by all the public.
Didn't say that. Did not say that. I agree with you.
I think by the scope of what I hear this meeting was, did not necessarily need to, it needed to be the people involved in the organization is what I'm hearing. And that does change the scope of the conversations, but.
It could, yeah, I wish we could do that. That'd be great.
Well, it would be, but we can't. And that's.
I wasn't at the meeting, so I can't speak to it.
And in regards to your question on on our emails, the email from Adrian on Monday at 6:40 p.m. Ms. Coleman has been invited and will be attending tomorrow's meeting.
Okay.
So
she confirmed she was going to be there.
Yes.
Yeah. I knew you had invited her. I missed the will be in attendance. Yeah, well, I'm glad she was there. She certainly should have
Well,
probably had some.
We gotta move on, but Tom, you raised some good points, and then you gotta draw a line. The commanders have to make the call. You can't, where do you quit notifying people of everything that happens, and how do you do it? And we do have that right to, that's why they hired us, to make decisions. And yeah, everybody needs to know as much as they can, within reason. So that's another day's discussion.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Adrian.
All right, let's take 5 minutes and come back on the hour here.
Good job.
Okay, we're back after a quick break here. It's a couple minutes after 11 and we're ready for unfinished and new business, and we'll close the meeting here as quick as we can. So given that, any unfinished business, guys? I have none.
Nor do I.
Kevin, you got any?
No. We did have a consideration on here of changing the time and location of the mid-June BOCC meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're gonna get to
but
that.
he just asked about unfinished business.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were
No,
moving down the line. I apologize.
actually, probably, I don't know, did we ever have any unfinished business? We've gone through
So
that.
far, no.
None. None has happened.
You guys are good finishers.
Hopefully we don't, but you never know.
Never know.
Actually, maybe. That one resolution, 2103, I believe it is. Actually, maybe it's 2102.
Well, that's one we
Whatever one
deferred.
is still
02.
hanging out,
Right.
you still have a motion for that resolution.
Right, and we were
So
gonna,
does that just die after a
No.
certain amount of time?
we postponed it to take a look at the next meeting, mid-month meeting.
Right, and you did.
No, and then we moved
Then
it
you
again.
moved it to that one and then you moved it again.
Yeah.
So do I just keep carrying, does that motion just keep carrying?
That carry
Well,
on.
there's two ways to do that. One is to table it and one's to postpone, and I believe we postponed that because there was a date involved. We postponed it to a
Right.
specific date. If we had tabled it, it would remain tabled until we decided to address it. It's what we should have done, but we all thought we were gonna
Thought we were gonna get it
next
done
month.
quicker, but
And that would
So,
be,
but the motion goes with that.
so it just keeps on going.
Correct.
Is that unfinished business?
No,
no,
Okay,
if we'd have started something,
and got
got
interrupted.
interrupted in the middle of it.
technically there, we should say, are there any tabled motions come before the group? We don't because it's just so rare, but
Yeah, it's all right.
yeah. So we should have tabled it instead of postponed, as it turned out.
But then the circumstances changed the next week, so.
Yeah, it was correctly done because we
Yeah.
did postpone it to a date.
Yeah.
And then we just never dealt with it. So you're right, that's still out there in la land. And it was 2102.
Yeah.
We dealt with 03, but
And we'll grab that on the next meeting,
well,
I hope.
I don't know. We've never
We'll have,
decided that,
we'll
right?
put it on, well, we've got to put it on an agenda in order to decide, so. That's what we did. I think we did, well, look in the minutes
You
after the
put it
meeting.
on,
And then I think we pushed it last meeting, because I said, well, wait till after the health board meeting, so we can get a status of where we are, whether we need it or not. And we postponed it into the mid-month this month. I think is what happened.
I don't think you said, you just
No.
said postpone it till after.
Wait till
Well,
after
maybe it
board.
was, maybe it was after that. Okay. Well, that's good. We'll have to keep trying.
So you've had a Board of Health meeting?
No,
No.
No.
tomorrow or today.
Tonight,
Sorry.
today.
So you probably do want it on mid-month.
Yeah, that makes sense. Get rid of it. One way or the other. Okay, so we did into new business now, and we'll have public comments if there are any publics left by then. And the first item we deleted, moved it, because we're going to be dealing with that tomorrow. So the first item up would be a consideration of PIO processes and procedures. And Tom, you brought that in, put it on there because we wanted, as we were discussing with our new PIO, the process and procedures, we were talking about what we had informally talked amongst ourselves when we did the hiring process, and we were going to do a better job of redefining this in our big meeting in March. But in the meantime, we got her working. So go ahead.
Well, I think the first question we have to ask ourselves and get an answer to should have happened before, of course, but is who's she going to report to?
Right. And we had, who's the point of contact?
No, well,
But right now, that's what it is. And right now, to me, she reports to this board.
Correct.
For this board,
Correct.
period. And so how do we want to handle, because the scope of her job does entail not just emergencies, not just HR stuff or whatever is there. We envisioned her to be sort of the mouthpiece for the county and the process of bringing insight to all our departments within the county purview. We've got the Justice Center coming up, which is going to be a good opportunity. We've got the emergency COVID stuff that's still going on. We've got tax season coming up, some things that bring up perhaps and others. So
I think she needs a clear, singular person on this board to come to, though,
to bring things in.
To bring things to, and I think it was discussed before, it is tough having multiple bosses. She needs one person she can come to that can bring it to the rest of us. So she doesn't have to do multiple reporting to us. We need one person to be her contact.
Okay, got an idea. Tom, you want to do it? You want to do it?
Well, I've got a little different opinion about that. I disagree with you respectfully. So I think she needs to report to the sheriff's office.
Okay, I disagree.
Okay, then my second question would be, then what is her title? What should her title be? Generally speaking, in emergency services, a public information officer deals with critical incidents. That's not general public.
That's right. And she would deal in this case because we're a small county. And normally, if you had the money, the sheriff should have his own PIO to handle it. The OE, the emergency jobs, but we don't. And so she covers it all, my view. And if she's reporting to the sheriff, by the way, I did follow up after we had this discussion with several counties. And I also followed up with CCI and what they've seen. And I talked to Dennis Hunt about it as well. The problem is when you put it under the sheriff, which sounded good, and Cara Springs did. And they found out that when they needed the PIO to do something else besides emergencies, that person was off running a roadblock for the sheriff, doing other things was deputized and was trapped and couldn't do the other things we needed. So I think we have a golden opportunity right now to bring daylight to what we do as a county business. All our departments. And so, and emergencies are when they come, then there are priorities that have to happen. If there was a fire and then there was a pandemic at the same time, they have to split time. But right now, I see an opportunity to help the public understand things, water issues, the short-term rentals. There's a story there, and there's information that ought to be out to clarify things. Justice Center. So I think for now, and we can have this discussion when we get into processes and procedures for everything. I think it matters. A point of contact on this board is just that. We need to come up with an active way that we represent things and brings it to this board. So she's got this one right now is a key job, I think. So for now, I wouldn't be willing to throw it into the sheriff's office or into OEM.
Although the bulk of the times that you see that face publicly is on a critical incident.
Only because we've been doing that.
Well, historically, not here.
Nobody's cared about justice centers.
But
Well, the last PIO we had operated under the sheriff's office. The reason they took the next PIO out of the sheriff's office was because her husband worked at the sheriff's office.
Maybe.
No, that's exactly why.
I say that may be why their reasoning is all I meant by that. Questioning the way they have it or not.
that's why the last PIO was not part of sheriff's office.
But I will
Thought
tell
there was
you,
a conflict.
all the other information I got, they said, keep it out of it. There should be a county PIO that does county PIO stuff, broadband, broad spectrum. And then, especially the size that we are. Otherwise, they'll think that's all there is. This job can grow into something more important. Right now, it's half-time.
So my three questions were, who does she report to? What is her scope of work? And what is an appropriate title? And obviously that would be tied to what her scope of work is.
That's why we billed it as a Custer County Public Information Officer. We put the job announcement out.
Okay,
And that was, and if I recollect right, we sat here with Shannon in this room and he came up with a lot of other ideas to use her. And at that time, he did say he wouldn't have any problem making sure she got her 8 hours in or whatever. But that is, I don't believe, I still am really adamant about it. It's a county level job.
it is, and I'm trying to get everything figured out here in my head. If she were to answer, say, to the sheriff's office, that does not preclude her from all of these other informational items. Is that correct?
Sure.
Well, yeah, I would think there'd be an agreement to say,
Can use it. But if she's working for the sheriff, she's gonna go to the sheriff as the contact and he's gonna have to come to us and say, can you do blah, blah, whatever. It's gonna be reporting to him, not us. And and I'm sure if we went over there and said, can we borrow her? Can we use her for the Justice Center briefings? And we want to produce a video to help promote it with what's going on with the polling and whatever else, that he would let us do it. But that has to be coordinated.
Coordination needs to be there regardless of who she's answering
Sure.
to. I don't know if borrow would be the right term because she still is, and this goes back to Tom's question, she still is the county public information officer.
She reports to him. How Tom just phrased it, who does she report to, who she worked for?
Reporting to and working for is not necessarily the same thing.
Right.
Is where I'm coming from on that. She's still working for us, but that doesn't necessarily mean she has to be.
yeah,
Under our or under our, I don't know the proper terminology there.
control or
Yes.
its purview or.
Well, let me try it this way. So here's where it is. She is hired by us, and it's an office, a public information office that works for the commissioners, and that in effect, she's a professional and she is accountable and should be letting us give her the priorities for the scope, which would include the sheriff's jobs or the emergencies and the other things. And we would set up a process and a procedure and a policy that said, given that, we would have her understand she's obligated to make that report to us, what she's progressing, what her issues are, through that point of contact, whether it's you, me, or Tom, to say, here's what I'm doing, is keep her going along the job that she's been hired to do.
And I think we can do that even if she was directly reporting to Shannon. I mean, we do a monthly report from all of our different departments that work under us. My point would be in any of the critical type incidents, that is when she would need to be quickly available and on board right away. And if she was working out of the sheriff's office per se. She's already on board there. She is aware of their policies and procedures, more so than if she's at a remote location from there, which she can do a lot of her job
She wants,
from a remote location. But if she is,
she's not gonna have an office over there.
and I wouldn't, that's not necessarily what I'm talking about either, but if she's working more, closely with them, then when these critical incidences happen, I think the flow would be better.
Why couldn't we give her that as a priority, that she understands that she has to get into understanding what their processes are? If there's a critical incident, she would be notified by the sheriff if you need her. And she would drop everything that we've had her doing.
And
That's what she's gonna do anyway.
I think that's coming down for that one other question Tom had then, because what is the scope of her work? And in my mind, I had it, and there again, this conversation probably should have happened beforehand, but
That's why we're headed.
the bulk of it, the first thing that comes to mind is the critical incidents. Secondary to that, and that's prioritizing as well now, because the first thing that comes to mind when you see that or hear public information officer, it's going to be the critical
Face of
incidents.
the county.
It's face of the county in any type of emergency situation. Secondary to that is things like the Justice Center
Exactly
and
right.
things of that nature. And because of that, and that's how I perceive this, I think I would be inclined to say that would be a good idea, to have her report their monthly reports we could do here, just like we do any other department. To where, or if she has something additional she needs to bring to us, that doesn't mean she can't come and talk to us or find something out when she needs to, but just because of that prioritizing, I think.
I hear you.
Mhm.
I'm still of the belief, though, that same priority would be there working for us.
Well, I think,
I'm not opposed. I mean, I'm open, but technically, it is a county position, period.
well, I'm not arguing that. I think what we need to decide is this position truly a public information office, or is it a public affairs or public relations office?
Both.
They're clearly two different things. I'm not saying the same person couldn't do them both, but they're two separate job descriptions. FEMA defines PIO as a person who does represent whoever her employer is, in this case, the county, to provide appropriate and accurate information in the event of a crisis. That's PIO. They're FEMA trained. They have to go through all that ICS and NIMS PIO training. Public affairs or public relations officers certainly talk about
Can do both.
the Justice Center. So I think we need to decide what we want.
Well,
I
I can't
suspect-
afford both. That's
I suspect
why.
Byerly's going to end up with his own PIO.
Maybe, but it still has to be coordinated. So it's, and the face of the county, to me, I don't want a narrow person representing the county, even in an emergency, meaning that person needs to be aware of all other things that are impacted by that emergency that you wouldn't necessarily have if you're just focused on the sheriff's office. You would have to go out and become aware of that, which luckily we can probably make happen. So I would still recommend that we do it, because we're the ones that are paying her salary. We are the ones that she's reporting to in the end. And just like the road and bridge guys, same thing. Tourism, we had to rein in tourism. and report to us, not to themselves as an agency. I think it's an important job. I think it's more important than what we originally started out when OEM wanted to have a PIO and the sheriff wanted a PIO too. And we need a PIO for other things, for the public and for the public. The more transparent we are, the better.
Well, then I think we ought to call it something different. To me, a PIO is going to deal with crisis management. And a public affairs or public relations officer is going to spread the good word of all we're doing. I just think they're two different things. So,
But we can roll it into both now, can't we? Into one,
I don't know.
because we're not going to buy two PIO.
Trying to find the job descriptions that were.
We rolled into that job description, even the training on the emergency stuff because of the OEM. We made it multifaceted, Tom.
Well, Tom is looking, I mean, I'm just looking on the internet for
Okay.
definitions of what the duties are of a PIO. And planning and hosting press conferences to announce major news or address crises. That's number one, like Kevin said, that's the primary job. But it then kind of transitions over into some things that are considered more of a public relations officer, preparing press releases, speeches, articles, social media posts, and other materials for public consumption. You know, that's not strictly what a PIO does, but
That's right.
since we have a person, I think, you know, my sense of Reggie is that she's very capable of understanding the difference. And to me, and I shouldn't be involved in this conversation, but I think
you're involved for advice.
I think that she can really help you define, you know, the role. I mean, she could probably define the role herself as she gets into it,
Right.
doing both.
Well, you, even in that first statement, you said major news. Major news is not just a fire.
No, major news is the Justice Center.
That's right.
I have her out front on that because we need all the positive information we can get out there as to what's going on.
And that doesn't mean just positive either. It means all the information. So the public is aware enough to make a good decision on whether they support it or not. And I think based upon my discussions with her, to me, understanding her background, I think she's got the capability to adapt.
Well, yeah, but I think we're in the weeds. It has nothing to do with her. We're not talking about her.
That.
We could have somebody else, right? We have her right now, but it could be a different individual. So whether she's capable or not, in my opinion, isn't the point of this discussion. This discussion is what do we want that position to be?
Okay, I agree. And when we sent the job announcement out, it included both.
It was listed as PIO. Would it behoove us to then list the job as public information officer / public relations?
Good.
Yeah, not a word in here about crisis, critical incidents.
There's training classes that she's required, other things.
So whatever you guys decide.
I think the job's going to entail both. And I think that was somewhat understood before. If we need to change the name, so be it. I don't know if that's a necessary thing to do or not.
We could get more into that when we start talking on the 26th as well, or when, like I like Clint's idea and thought of it that way, but as we get into doing both jobs, how it evolves, it might be a public, I don't know what major, we'll have to look into what other names they call these departments. But I like the public relations, public information officer, or vice versa. Personally. So what do we want to do? We wanted to move on a option. We need a point of contact for this board, no matter what. To me, who wants to do that? I can do it. Tom can do it. You want to do it?
I would be willing to, but if either one of you did not, if either one of you, or if you guys wanted to decline, I would be willing to do it. I wouldn't jump in there and say I need to be number
I've never
one.
heard it like that.
If the train comes, I would do that.
Well, if you feel, I don't know, you're
It's,
just coming up to speed.
That would be my biggest drawback is the number of points of contact at this point that I am. I think with the HR finance, I'm actually going to end up probably with another one on that list.
Tommy,
I'm
you got,
good with Bill doing it.
you want me to do
I don't believe we need to do it, but I'm willing to support you being the point of contact for us. Sorry.
it? All right, I will agree to that because I think given the quality of the person that we've got right now and the kind of person she is, it would probably be okay with to move ahead. Wouldn't need a lot of other work to help, but I can do that. I'd be happy to do it.
I would like to be able, if we move in that direction, I'd like to be able to revisit that.
Yeah.
As this job,
And I'd be more than happy
Progresses.
to.
in case we need to change that up, because
Yeah, I agree.
I don't want to sit here and say, she's only going to report to us and then find out here in 6 weeks.
Right,
that
and I
we
was
should
going to
move her
suggest that as a
somewhere
matter of
different.
fact, Kevin, that's right. I mentioned it earlier. As we evolve, this job evolves, we can take a hard look at how it's evolving as a county position somewhere.
If she's gonna write press releases, whether it's for the Board of County Commissioners or the sheriff, I think it's important that that all be
It has to
reviewed
be reviewed.
before anything is released.
out.
Like when I've written a few press releases for you, but I'll always run it past you
Right.
first.
And that would be, we have to be involved. We're accountable.
Well, it's a great question. So do the commissioners have any business reviewing the sheriff's office press release
No,
as an
the
elected
sheriff.
official?
The sheriff would have to
Any elected official, Kelly, or, I don't think so.
It's their authority, that's right.
just review anything that's coming from you.
From the county.
It's an accurate
Sure, I
statement.
agree with that, but I'm sure she'll be asked to do. a
Well,
lot
I'll
of
tell you
stuff.
what, as a courtesy, Shannon ought to tell us something that might impact us, and so ought to Kelly. I'm sure she would if it were going to be something that was significant that we would get questioned on.
Got press
That doesn't mean we're gonna-
releases around elections and everything.
Right, which I don't think we don't have any business having.
Unless she says we've closed all our election, and I'm going to New Mexico, or Mexico.
Just hand out ballots.
Better let us know that people are going to be calling us.
So
All I meant by that was a courtesy. It doesn't mean we haven't approved, we're not in an approval cycle. Whatever she wants, unless she asks us for advice.
I think on anything major, most people will do that. Not everything needs to go everywhere.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, yeah, Shannon won't be interested
You know
in
that-
his press releases. bias,
No,
I can tell you.
and he
But I
should
think
be responsible for
non-elected
his.
officials,
I agree.
then that the only things left is the county.
And that brings up a very good point that I was going to bring up earlier. The worst thing we can do is be the focal point, that's the choke point. And I've seen it happen in the military. I've seen it happen in corporate world. When a person thinks that they got to have their hand in everything that's going on, you fail. And you have to trust the organization, and that's the county organization, includes the school, all the districts in it, and us as well.
I have another question, just because of Tom's problem yesterday with the person who couldn't access the website.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something that would be appropriate to turn over to the PIO and let the PIO work with? I mean, I know you got to stay in touch with your constituents, but sometimes it might be.
Well, that's a good idea. I talked to Vernon earlier, and yesterday or the day before, on how that would work. First of all, Vernon, somebody has to give him something to post. And I would think, have to work with the process. And part of that is an approval cycle too. If it's a public health announcement, that person is the public health director that she would have to work with in order to get it out. And then And if it was something that was impactful to us, then that's up to Cliff to make sure that we're aware of before it goes out, not her. She's working for, for him in that sense. If it's something Justice Center wise, it's a different story.
But my question was more just the day-to-day things where because all of you are constantly getting emails or phone calls.
Right.
From people that have questions, and when is it appropriate to say, I'm going to turn this over to the PIO and let her handle it for me.
Good idea, yeah.
But that would be your call, because you don't want your constituents to think that you are too important.
She's
to
not
talk
that,
to.
well, not only that she's making policy for us, or saying things that are our responsibility.
But I mean, helping somebody to navigate the website, if that's.
Yeah, I've been, for your specific example, I believe that's IT, but
Okay.
that's what I did.
Yeah.
I said, I will check with IT and find out.
But she sure could help Vernon publish something that gives them a recipe how to do it that he approves, right? Help him write a way of doing it, or maybe even help him navigate through it to figure out how he could say something to the public to teach him how to get into it.
Can
Perhaps.
I throw something out there?
Go ahead.
Might be a thing to think about. I know Shannon has a Facebook. I thought about having a Facebook. I don't have the time to keep one up daily. What if you had a county Facebook page that if you had something for the Justice Center, you could put it on there. If you had, anybody, when Virginia has her tax sales, you could put the
So-
tax sale.
So you would propose that she watches that, brings things
Yeah,
in
it
to
would
us
just
and
be a
puts
way
things
to
in
get
there.
info, because I know that people, I'm not a Facebook person, I'm not on
Not
Facebook,
either.
but I know a lot of people are on
That's
Facebook
true.
and they depend on that for information. A lot of counties use Facebook
And it needs
to
to
get
be
information out
real
there.
information, not somebody's guess.
Right, just short little blurbs,
Well, we
And
have,
maybe it would help with
website.
the website if they had like when you had your zoning resolution meeting, if you had something to put out there about that, you could just put a short little,
not PR, but information that's accurate
yeah.
on what's going
Yeah.
on.
I
And even
believe,
if you had a critical incident, you could put on there.
Right.
There's a fire wherever, see, watch for this or.
Mhm. It's my understanding that we do have an official county Facebook page. I just
We
texted,
do?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I just texted Vernon for
What's on?
confirmation, but last time we talked about it,
Who runs it?
he does,
I had no.
him and Jordan.
Maybe then that needs some help building that, maybe, I don't know.
I've never been on it, so I
I
can't.
haven't either, I don't do
Yeah.
Facebook, I'm wondering if any
Say that,
information,
but-
if there's questions coming and going on that, do people, well, asking, well, what do you call it when there's people that are following something? Are there a lot of people out there that are following the county website?
The last formal conversation we had with him, as I recall, was that the website was going to be the first official site and then followed with the Facebook page. Our Facebook page, not these 4 or 5 community ones.
So your point then is she should be involved in possibly writing things
Well, it just may be
for
a way
that,
to
with that,
get
to communicate.
county information out there
That was the fun, I guess.
without having to wait for a week for the paper to come
Right.
out or whatever.
Yeah, I certainly agree with that. And,
Because that makes it hard sometimes.
5 or 6 years ago or 10 years ago, we'd say it's websites where we're going to put our information, but it's not near instantaneous enough and it doesn't change, doesn't have the ability to change as quickly as Facebook. So,
Okay, I think I'm glad we've had this talk. I think we've got a structure sort of where we think we're going for now and keep our eyes open. She's a county employee or at the county level. I'll be the contact. for now, and we'll address it as we evolve this, and we'll use that office to do both the public information office, emergency kinds of things, as well as the public relations as we grow. And then we'll take a look at it as we do this to see if it needs to be added or not, to include helping with our communications, both in the newspapers as well as in the websites and Facebook. So how do we want to propose that since it's a consideration, are we going to propose a motion to do that? Yeah. How would I state that succinctly? Help me out.
I don't know. I think we need to settle on title. I think we need to settle on our scope of work.
Okay.
We've done the who she reports to, what's the salary going to be, and where's she going to be housed.
Salary, it was listed as a specific salary, correct?
Right.
Or was it a range?
It wasn't. That's the problem.
Well, I thought it was.
Okay.
I thought it was
I only saw
18
one.
hours.
Did you read her email?
I did read her email. That's why I had a note here to ask about
When did she
that.
send it out? I missed it. Did not see it.
In the posting that I saw, it did not show a range. That's why I was going to ask about the posting.
Posting said a range, but I'll pull
It
it
did
up.
say range. I remember that.
If you could, please, because the one I saw was not necessarily the official one. So that's why I was asking.
Well, we go to the county website. I'm sure it's still up there, although he may have pulled it down, but just a second here, because I still navigate. I'm the only one that has trouble navigating the website. I've decided that.
And the only ones I'm seeing is finance,
Yeah, he's
HR,
already
and
taken the
veteran.
PIO one down, so I'll have to go back to it.
Donna, what was the salary range for the PIO? Do you remember? You got
17 to 20, but
That's 7. Says 17 per hour for 20 hours a week. Okay. Yeah, I know she asked him. Okay.
hold on just a second.
Okay, hang on just a second. So she said $17 for 20 hours. That was the minimum.
I think that was in your motion too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we'll have to find out because she's questioned.
So
Now, let me go look, because I'm pretty sure that
I
was.
think that's what it was. And that's what Donna wrote down. Okay, so hang on, please, Donna. And I'll just hang on for a minute. We've got another question coming here in a second. So salary, and we got, what was the other?
So the job description said, can you hear me, Donna?
Can you hear Tom? Don?
I can hear him, but I can't
Okay.
understand what he's
So
saying.
the job description at the bottom said the pay schedule was 20 hours a week, rate of pay was $17 an hour.
Yes, and just so you know, if we're wanting to know how that came about, that was not me. Remember, as I had Vernon and Bill, everybody talking, and I never wrote that.
We could.
Understood. We voted on any new starting position as of January 1, the minimum wage was going to be $17 an hour for a non-salaried person. I think the question then is, must have been in the vacancy announcement, which I'm trying to find as we're talking, was
Let me see if
posted
I
as a
can
salary
find
range
it in
of,
my little pile, because see, whatever Vernon sent me, I just saved this because, why reinvent the wheel, right? So let me see
I
if I
think the
can find.
vacancy announcement said $17 to $20 an hour. Well, I know it did. No thinking about it, but
Okay, I found an announcement.
That's because with the starting rate we said would be 17 unless the qualification was warranting more or something. I don't know. That's why that, if it was a range, that's why we had it.
Yeah, and I just couldn't speak to that. I could see where it could be either way, and she's awesome, so I'm good either way.
Well,
Well, we're not debating
anything to
that.
do with her,
On
but
the vacancy announcement, it just says to go to the Custer County Gov, and of course, that's not on there anymore,
Right.
so.
yeah, he's pulled that down.
Yeah,
But I did notify.
But all that being said, I'm fairly certain that that's what the vacancy announcement said, $17 to $20 an hour. But Kelly's checking her notes on that meeting. I think the motion was $17 an
It
hour.
wasn't in the motion, but it was said before the motion.
and I don't know if it'll help, the day I
Okay, can I just
put
look
this
and
in
see
my
what
little
the-
file, it was
This was-
January 7th. Does that help on a time frame?
She's got the minutes
Yeah,
now.
so we're looking at the minutes from February the 17th.
Oh, geez, so,
And it,
so, with this, I may have a prior, so I can't even
yeah, and
say
it's,
that would be what it was then.
it says on February the 3rd, the BOCC interviewed 3 candidates for the PIO position. This is a part-time position for 20 hours a week at $17 an hour. And we may never have communicated that to her, but I believe that was what the intent and the language says, that was the offering salary, which goes along with our motion.
And I believe what she would have pulled off the internet would have said that as well.
Okay, so that's one step there. The position title and the scope of the job description covered public relations as well as emergency information officer duties, and included some classes. You have that or courses that were desired.
Let's see, 2021, so let me peek on there. Like it has like some, I've never heard of like ES5s or something. Oh,
Right.
ICS,
ICS.
ES numbers.
Yeah.
I've got them. but-
yeah, there's an ELO 388,
Right.
EO 389, 393, and 394, and a master's at MPI.
Right. It is if
What is it with us? I forget.
told them to knock that off.
Oh, good grief.
Well, she also, according to the job description, is the ICS and the EMI courses. Those were listed. That shouldn't be an issue, but
Okay, so that gives her the multi-functional capability.
did you get a copy of her email today, Donna, or yesterday? Yeah, I'm trying to find it here.
I haven't.
Okay, no, I have not received any. Well, let me peek just in case.
It was from Reggie. What's it from, Tom?
Yeah.
It says Reggie.
Yeah, so you did not, Donna. So she says, I am writing with the request while you're working together to outline your priorities and job description for the PIO.
Pay rate.
Would you mind revisiting the PIO pay rate? So she was unclear. The online posting I responded to indicated $17 to $20 an hour based on experience. If your discussion of the PIO pay rate was $17 to $20 per hour, then I would appreciate your consideration of my experience in determining my hourly rate of pay. We've already determined that hourly rate of pay, correct? According to the minutes, was $17
I
an
believe
hour.
by what you said that you were hiring that.
She
that you have.
even says that. She says Donna's printed job description says 17.
Yeah,
if your
because I
discussion
gave her
is-
what I had and said that I wasn't absolutely,
Well, that's what it
I
was.
mean, you never can be sure, but it does say, the way it shows it, the 17 and that 20, it's pretty close.
Right. So,
Kind of squishy. So maybe she just,
And that, and then as we brought other people in a pay scale like that, we give them the opportunity to move up depending on how what do we call it, probation, if we wanted to call it that.
that or, well, and by Yeah, I know, and when it's part-time, I don't really know how we really,
There's no language about probation
That's
on
right.
part-time employee.
That's right.
yeah, that's that little iffy spot that,
What you would do then in that case is just have a meeting and a consideration and make a decision.
Well, I would think Bill's a point of contact for her. I would think he should respond to that email and say the minutes of February 16th clearly indicate the starting wage is $17 an hour.
okay, so that makes me feel, but yeah, I did give her a copy, and so,
We're good.
and that was just the best that I could do.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think we're good there, Donna. Thanks for the memory.
Oh, I know, yeah, sort of, it's like, oof, we all need help. Okay, cool.
See you. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, bye.
So if you would be willing to do that, communicate with her, I think you probably should clear this up.
I'll clear it up.
So, and then depending on performance.
We can have a
moving
meeting
forward,
and
Can be
I think
decided later, yeah.
with anybody else.
So we're going to call that position PIO or?
I think it ought to be both, don't you? A public relations and information office. Or public, what do you think, Kelly? You're getting tired over there.
No,
Well, you put yourself in the outside world.
well, you could call it both.
Custer
if
County
you were
Public
gonna-
Information, maybe simple as that.
Yeah. I was trying to look up the meaning of public information, like Clint, right, at the same time Clint came up with it, I was looking and yeah, I think it kind of has.
Would you be more comfortable if it was listed as PIO Public Relations?
I like putting the,
I don't know. Can't answer that.
Okay.
I'm good with public Custer County. I don't want to say public relations. I don't think it's information.
Well, in the outside world, PIO is tied to emergency management, critical incident, and FEMA.
Not always, Tom, or exclusively. I did the research on that. And I did call and I did talk to them. It is the voice of Custer County in all aspects. So public information and relations.
We just disagree. That's all. Doesn't mean.
No, I hear you.
If you look at the coursework required, has nothing to do with journalism. It's all about emergency
No, we added
management
that
and
after the fact, Tom. Because the front end states.
incident command system. So, and clearly those are tied to emergency management, not public relations.
Well, I'll tell you, we added that after we got into it to make it so that they would get those classes. It wouldn't be just public communication, which it states. So, well, let's agree to
Do you have a title on the job descriptions?
said public information office.
Can you, just something to throw out there? I guess you can do whatever you want, but can you change? I mean, she hired on to do what was in this job description and this, so can you
It's a
change that after,
sure.
the day after she came on board?
Well, it's not changing the job. It's both.
It's both.
Job description is inclusive, but it has the emergency stuff in it too, which is
If
good.
you guys want to call it a public information office, I'm fine with that.
We could have,
I think we can just run with that.
I do too.
And then where's she going to be housed?
We talked about that a little bit the other day informally, we all did, and she doesn't think that it requires an office per se. She would like a place to light once in a while.
And that's why I said house instead of an office, quote unquote.
And right now, the best that she liked was up there with Guinevere. There's a small desk and then there's the big desk that's not being used at all. But that's a good spot right now. And if it gets, she'll find other places. I know over in OEM, they have an office upstairs that has a desk also. So she can, when she's going back and forth. And that's closer to the sheriff's office too, if she needed to see him once in a while.
3 copies of this.
So do we want to agree that she could start in those 2 places as a place to tie into a computer system and plug in her thumb drive she's going to get?
I'm fine with upstairs in the extension office.
I think we ought to just name one, and if she needs to use another office, she can, but I think her primary place of residence could be up there.
All right. With Gwen. Okay, what else is left open?
Those are the questions I had.
Okay. So I move, let's figure it out here.
So it is Custer County
The
PIO.
Custer County Public Information Officer office is established. Canda's the point of contact for now. At rate of $17 an hour. And an office as a base office with the extension in the extension area, office area. Got a second?
I'll second it.
Tom?
You don't get to second.
I didn't hear he was looking at me.
No, you got a quick second? All right, we got a second. It's been moved and seconded to establish a Custer County Public Information Office housed in the extension office area at a rate of $17 an hour. Canda's the point of contact. All in favor, say aye. Commissioner Flower.
Aye.
Mr. Day.
Aye.
Mr. Kanda, aye. Okay, Clint, you're up.
As I indicated at the beginning, I was asked yesterday to look into a possible resolution. The governor declared March 20th of this year to be Meat Out Day, which is a day, it's something being pushed by FARM, which is an acronym for Farm Animal
Cruelty to
Farm Animal
cows.
Rights Movement. Yeah, don't eat cows. It's cruelty to animals, and we don't need that. Anyway, so he did this.
What day is it?
March 20.
Is it 20? You said 21st earlier today. Is it
It's
2021?
March 20 as the date that he is. Well, let me double check and make sure. But I had it here for a second. Come on.
Just take your time. We've wasted your time all morning.
The governor declared March 20 as Meat Out Day. There's been a big backlash among a lot of the rural counties where the cattlemen and other livestock producers are very important to the local economies. I was looking, Rob Canterbury brought me in a copy of a resolution that was passed by the Moffat County Board of County Commissioners yesterday. I had found one, it looks like most of the counties are using the same format. I found one from Montezuma County, and I prepared a proposed resolution that follows some of it, but I took some things out. The one that I have here from Moffat County, and that also was from Montezuma County, not only said that the county, Moffat County said declares our support for livestock producers and proclaims March 20 to be an all meats march to be recognized all month and celebrated on March 20, 2021 as a meat in day.
So March doesn't mean March in this class.
No, I
It
mean,
means
the whole
month.
month of March is, so they're going way beyond what the governor's doing is. But the one that I prepared talks about the Board of County Commissioners for Custer County declaring its support for the cattlemen and other livestock producers and proclaims March 20, 2021 to be Custer County Cattlemen's Day to honor the heritage of the ranching industry and the enormous contribution it has made to the economy of this county. And I should give you these copies now. Can you, let me save mine and give them a copy. That's the one I prepared. And then here's copies of the one that Rob Canterbury brought in.
Thank you.
To do it.
Apologies, man.
The reason mine is different, the one that's been adopted by the others, and I'm assuming this has all been researched.
Thank you.
But it talks about Senate Bill 21-079 concerning deregulation of direct-to-customer meat sales and ranch-to-table private enterprise. I didn't even know exactly what that meant but it's right now all, Jim Reed always sells us, half a beef each year, and you can do that directly. But otherwise, meat has to be processed through USDA certification and everything. And there's a proposal, I guess, but I couldn't find this Senate bill that it's like.
What was the number again? It was Senate, not.
Senate Bill 21-079 is what's in the
79, okay.
the Moffett County resolution.
I'll look it up real quick.
Well, if you can find that, I sure didn't have any luck finding it. My iPad is particular about what it lets me look at.
Well,
anyway, but because that resolution says that they support Senate Bill 21-079 to deregulate this, to allow the livestock, the cattle and the livestock producers to sell direct, like at farmers market sales and everything.
that's going, they're including that in their proclamation. That's more than just the support for the stock growers. It's
they're including that in theirs.
Okay.
Because they think that does support the cattle industry and other livestock. I did, and I'll take these numbers on faith because they're using them. That's why I had them in here also, that Custer County cattlemen and our ranching families are part of a $3.4 billion state industry with a $40 billion economic impact that accounts for 10% of the total export sales of the state of Colorado. More than 170,000 residents of Colorado are employed by the cattle industry, and they depend on the vitality of said industry for their economic well-being. And, finally, the final whereas, the governor's action in urging the citizens of the state to eat less meat because it is bad for their health perpetuates a falsehood, is irresponsible, and is a slap in the face to the thousands of ranching families around the state. The slap in the face is in quotation marks. That was actually a quote from a Weld County commissioner. Weld County is actually passing a proclamation. I should have done it this morning, but I haven't found it yet on the internet. And I don't know if they're declaring the whole month to be a meat-in month. But basically, this is what I prepared, and can certainly be changed, is a resolution declaring a Cattlemen's Day on that same day in the support of the Board of County Commissioners.
yeah, we could do both. My thought when you were talking, as well as thinking about this, was I would like it to be, and maybe it's in these words, is inclusive. The industry is that all the stock growers, ranching, and the hay industry that is needed, the agribusinesses that we always tout in this county is one of our main goals to support. So,
and the title of the declaration is supporting the local ranching industry.
And I like that, and that does cover it.
And I don't know, but then it declares March 20 as a Cattlemen's Day. That was the language used by Montezuma counties.
Maybe it's
and
they weren't doing it as a resolution. They were doing it as a.
Theirs as a resolution. And Weld County is doing a proclamation.
But then you said they're redoing that as a resolution too. Is that what you said?
No, not that I know of. I haven't seen what I read from what was coming up, and this I read yesterday. It was going to be a proclamation.
Okay, tell us the difference, because I asked you that. I like the idea of a resolution as opposed to
a proclamation is honoring somebody generally for service performed. I think a resolution is better because it's a position statement.
Right.
And the position statement can be inclusive that we support our ranching industry. But it's also saying very clearly to the governor that we do not like your,
Why would
disregard
you
of the
disregard a big economy of the state of Colorado?
Well, Polis, I was reading this, he said, it's no big deal. He said, I have learned during this COVID thing, when I have to be preparing my own meals, I've learned how to cook flank steaks and other things. So he's a supporter of, that's what he's saying. But his partner, his husband, I guess it is, his husband is a vegan. So he's also, catering to him, I guess. So this is just a draft, if you want more language in here, if you want to change it to recognize, because when it talks about, part of a $40 billion economic impact, that would include all the, the people that provide the hay and feed, everything else. Transportation, the meat processing plants, all of it would all be part of that $40 billion industry.
Well, maybe that's where you had a cattle, you had the cattlemen, so maybe it's Custer County stock growers and our ranching, farming families. Is it more inclusive?
We can, I can certainly change the language. I don't know how soon you want to try to act on this.
Well, the issue is, in order to get it out in time to support the 20th, my view was if we like the, we don't have to finalize the words today, but I think we ought to agree. First of all, the resolution is in order and it's a good thing for the county. And then if we want to wordsmith it and not do it here for the next hour, let's agree to have you do that and send back the words. How would we handle the final?
Well, it's an agenda item consideration of, so it's, yeah. I think
we can do.
You can vote on this if you want to recess the BOCC meeting and then resume it after lunch or something.
No, we can't because we're resuming it in the Board of Health meeting.
Well, it would take a couple of minutes, or you could do it after the Board of Health, I guess, but, or, our next meeting is March 17, and this would.
No, I don't want to wait that long. That's too close. Okay. We need to get it out with everybody else.
I like the wording, actually. I mean, his statement goes directly against the cattlemen. And our title actually is inclusive, but then it specifically speaks to Cattlemen's Day. And I think I kind of like the way that is in there. So I would be good with the way it is worded at this point.
How about you, Tom?
Well, I'm reading it right now. So, it's like everything else. We've fought it since the day we took office. Stuff lands on our desk the day of the meeting and we're asked to make a decision about it.
It's all right. Why we get paid the big bucks.
I took the numbers from the Montezuma County resolution. I took some of the other information from the Weld County Commissioner's website, although the actual proclamation wasn't there, but some of the figures.
Right. Now I look, they still haven't posted their proclamation yet. So
okay.
From the looks of their agenda, I'm sure they're still in the meeting. I quit counting at 45.
How come you were able to get their agenda and we can't get ours? That's something.
I guess you'd have to ask who. Look at me, I didn't ask.
Man, a total stranger in Weld County comes up with their agenda. I like it too. You did a good job, Clint.
Well, it's succinct and it gets the point across.
It does.
It just tells our local.
And I like the industry up here. Ranching industry includes everything, transportation, all sorts of ranching, pigs and.
Calling it Cattlemen's Day is intended to be inclusive, but
that's okay.
Everything that's involved, and it recognizes the ranching families.
And this gives us the ability to support I know there's a groundswell to have a big barbecue on Main Street on the 20th, I think.
Well, they can certainly do that.
They can do that regardless of this. I'm just saying it's nice to be able to they'll invite us and I'd like to walk down the street and have
And
a
according
barbecue with them.
to what Rob Canterbury told you, I haven't seen the numbers, but that something like 26 counties
26 counties
are passing something very similar to this.
31 agenda items on Will County's agenda.
Jeez.
Those guys they probably make 150,000 a year out there.
Yeah, Weld County's got a lot of big city stuff in it.
And that,
Well, Weld County is by far the largest livestock ranching county in the state.
and that didn't have anything to do with their consent agenda or their public hearings.
I think we got it. I don't have any heartburn at all, other than, and there's no other things I would add, I don't think.
Well, ours, certainly contains, it addresses the same things in a little bit shorter thing, but it doesn't talk about that Senate bill. You've been able to find that Senate bill?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's really not relevant to what this is about, but
I didn't think what was the gist of that again? It
The
was,
Senate bill, maybe Tom can summarize it. There's some-
yeah, it was to circumvent laws that are on the books right now pertaining to a producer and the law says
Right.
an informed end consumer to be able to just, I can sell
I wanna
you
buy it,
the meat, you can do
risk it,
whatever you
not
want. You
it's on
can't
mine.
resell it. You can use it for your home stuff. So
yeah, it's not really relevant, I don't think. And it is relevant.
Well, it could be grounds for another resolution,
Could be if,
We'll get
once
Chris
that gets
Price on
down.
it.
Is that a proposed bill? Is that still?
Yeah,
Been voted on?
it's a bill that's proposed,
That could be something else.
but it's favorable. It allows much more flexibility in them selling their
right.
meat directly to consumers without having to go through a lot of governmental regulations first.
Yeah, on the first now therefore be it resolved, should that say that the Custer County Board of County Commissioners or just the Board of County Commissioners?
I think you need to get Custer in there if you.
Well, but I have it as Custer County Cattlemen's Day. And that was the only reason I was thinking, do I want Custer County in there
Right.
twice?
Yeah,
We can certainly do that. I sent it to Tina as a Word document, so
right. And
she
you've
can
got
certainly insert that.
the Board of County Commissioners for Custer County at the top in the title.
Right.
So I just ask, I can live with it either way, but yeah, and obviously hog producers aren't addressed specifically here or the people raising chicken in our county, but
But
it
it's,
says other livestock producers.
yeah,
So,
and that was what the intent was. They talked about that.
I think anytime you can put Custer in there, it's good. I would,
So in the two now therefore clauses at the bottom, it should be the Board of County Commissioners
I
for
think it
Custer
should.
County
Right.
declares its support
Right.
and expresses its strong disapproval.
I would also add one other thing, not down there, but where it says, whereas more than 170,000 residents of Colorado are employed in the cattle industry and they depend upon the vitality of the said industry for their economic well-being as well as for we here at Custer County. We are part of that,
Right. So it'd be 170,000 residents of Colorado,
including Custer County. See,
but the problem is which
the
would include producers in Custer County.
That's right, because it's a big part of our business.
I'm not sure if they're wanting me to add it or not.
Yeah,
Or still a
I think it
discussion,
should be. I don't know, I'm gonna be asking you two guys. I think
Yeah, I'd say on that 1, 2, 3, fourth one, then fourth whereas down could say more than 170,000 residents of Colorado,
Including.
including the livestock producers of Custer County
depend on blah, blah, blah.
Are employed.
are employed by the cattle industry. It's a little weird. An industry doesn't employ
Or we
people, but
could say that are, instead of saying employee, we can change that.
involved in the cattle
Are-
industry or something, but
Are major contributors in the industry, if there are any, I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't say employed, or.
yeah, I'd say significant contributors to the cattle industry.
industry in Colorado and,
I mean, an industry isn't gonna employ somebody.
You can just skip
ranch
that
would,
first
but-
part and go directly to are involved in or depend on the vitality of the cattle industry.
Mhm, said
And then you can
industry.
leave out said industry.
yeah, I get that said industry out there.
But lawyers get paid whenever they can use.
I know
the word
you said and whereas.
No, I agree with Kevin. I don't have a problem with the language in general. They don't mention, which I probably would have a little problem with mentioning that Senate Bill 79 because it's not relevant to this really, but.
So why don't we move on accepting it with the corrections that are, the minor changes that we've added.
Yeah, I'm assuming we're gonna have those here in about 2 shakes of a cow's tail, so.
Let me
Because under the.
look over your shoulder. on that. That first whereas.
Yeah.
Uh,
So here's what I put. Right here.
You know, what's sad about this is that we're doing it in response to polls that we couldn't come up with our own initiative.
I wish we'd
before
taken
telling.
the lead in things.
So all we're doing is being reactive to what's going on in the front.
But
range.
there's nothing wrong with joining the team.
No, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong.
Oh, I know
I'm just
it.
saying it's sad that we as an ag
Yeah.
community didn't come up with
Colorado and
something on our own.
I know I'm
Certainly knowing the climate.
Yeah, and I'm sure glad that the ag industry did bug us to get this to us.
So I always like to try to have an opportunity to earn some extra money.
Residents of Colorado and Custer
County
County
to.
depend on the.
He's got $10.
I got $30 I'm willing to wager any or part of it. If either one of you can tell me who the president of the Stock Growers Association is. Here we're all worked up about it. And I'm as guilty as you two. I have no idea. who it is.
For Colorado?
No, for Custer County. That's who should be doing this, shouldn't be the
Let's do
commission.
the cattle and livestock.
They should be in here with
Industry.
bells on their toes.
Well,
going, hey, we want
they
you
were
to write
represented, but they didn't, they should have.
Cattle.
But at least somebody's standing up.
Well, and that was gonna be my other question. Who is standing up? We didn't initiate this. Did Canterbury?
Canterbury and several others called me. I don't, he told me they had like 10.
Nobody said a word to me about it other than bitching about Polis's
And
thing
then
on
they
the
called
news.
me on the phone.
Who was that?
Rob.
He's the only one that you talked to.
Representative.
Yeah.
And there was one other
I think
person.
everything else.
I've made you sent 2 text messages out asking who the.
Did you? Nobody knows.
Haven't heard anything back. I don't know if they know or not. They may have not even gotten it, but it's a state of affairs that,
Well, everybody's so darn
no wonder.
complacent.
We don't have stock growers. It's been disbanded.
Cattlemen are gone.
I didn't know that.
Really?
Is there a cattlemen's association here?
No, in Custer
Not-
County, I just
not now.
found out from a former president of the Stock Growers Association said it's been disbanded.
Really?
Who
There's
is it?
still a cattlewomen's,
Randy?
isn't there still a cattlewomen's association here?
Yeah, there is. Maybe they took over.
Probably sex is leading them.
I wonder why they disbanded them. People, that's a shame. They're belly aching about short-term rentals. Let's get them. Geez.
Did not know that.
Got her fixed?
So I guess it's a little too late to take you up on that.
Yes. Yes, you dirty dog.
It's worth a shot.
You don't want any part of that now, or I don't want you to have any part of that.
Do you all want
Read
to
it.
see this?
Just read it.
Okay, subparagraph 4 now, or the whereas says, number 4. Whereas more than 170,000 residents of Colorado and Custer County depend on the vitality of the cattle and livestock production industry for their economic well-being. And then down under the 2 be it hereby resolved clauses, both of those were changed to say the Board of County Commissioners for Custer County declares its support and expresses its strong disapproval.
Good. Yeah, and there's no wording in here about the Stock Growers Association or Cattle and Women's Group, right? So we're good there. We're not addressing.
We're not saying,
either one of
we're not
those.
saying something that's not existing.
Exactly.
That'd be terrible.
We heard from the cattle.
If they want to vote on that as it's not drafted, that can be the.
I would move we adopt resolution 2104 as presented.
Got a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adopt resolution 2104 as written.
May I?
It's a resolution of the Board of County Commissioners for Custer County supporting the local ranching industry in the county and declaring March 2021 to be Cattlemen's Day.
I'm gonna say, can I add to be distributed on our normal channels as soon as possible?
To be distributed on our normal.
Normal channels, newspapers, radio
To
station,
be
online newspaper.
published in the media on our normal media channels as
To be
soon as
distributed. Yeah.
possible.
It'd be great if they would have a huge barbecue somewhere.
Yeah, and that's,
We're too late probably.
No, they're planning
Too
it.
late for.
from what I hear, they're planning it.
Well, it's a Saturday and.
It won't make this week's
Rangers don't work
trivia.
on the weekends. So.
I don't know
Get it
what
on
the deadline is.
Get on Facebook. If we got one that I hear we have one.
And may I, sir, address that very issue? This is
Find it.
why you don't listen to anything I have to say. Okay, let's just say that. But at least I'm smart enough to ask. We have county pages for public health, OEM, and the sheriff. And I remember specifically, we did talk about those. We do not have a dedicated Facebook page for the county as a separate entity.
I didn't think.
So you were correct. I was incorrect.
And in the upcoming Facebook page that you're gonna get established. All right,
I guess that's up to us.
that is,
We're gonna have a separate county Facebook
that's
page
right.
because
This is my favorite.
I think
her work would not fall under these other things exclusively.
that's true, and I think that would be a good thing to get her going on.
So I don't have a problem asking Vernon to move towards that, but it's gonna be one more freaking thing on his plate. And
Well, we'll get, like you said, our public information officer to do.
but we're mixing apples and oranges, so.
All right, so it's been moved and seconded, and I read the resolution. Do I need to do it again?
You read the title of the resolution,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah. Part of the motion was to get it on our media as soon as possible. All in favor, say aye. Tom,
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
Kanda, aye.
So
Got it, we eyed it.
in the normal scope of things, she gets a copy signed. We have to sign it, right?
Before you sign that, hold on.
You got another one? Okay.
Yes.
And then in the normal, well, from about 20 minutes ago moving forward, then I'm assuming the normal process would be we sign it, Kelly gets a copy, Tina gets a copy with directions to provide a copy to our PIO.
Yeah.
Right,
And I don't get a copy, I get the original.
original, sorry. Does that make sense? I
Yes.
mean, it's not Tina's job now to put that out because we have a person
Right.
that should be distributing that
And go
information.
work with the media, including our IT, to get it done right. So was that, are we still on hold for you?
Yeah, she's just fixing the line.
Oh, okay.
It's bothering my OCD.
I'm glad because it was bothering mine.
Oh, good. I was hoping it wasn't just me.
I'm
Are you
gonna tell
lying, Bill?
Vernon.
No, I'm not.
Oh, good.
I'm gonna tell Vernon because he's asking that we believe we need a county Facebook page. Good enough?
Second body,
What?
that last line about Kevin.
I
I'm gonna throw
remember
this
him
one away.
telling us what we did,
Oh, it's
OEM, sheriff, and
It's not holy.
It's not? That's weird. I don't think it's, I don't
Public
think I'm
health,
gonna
but-
notice. Done that different. He's the only one that
What's the matter?
You can sign this.
What's that?
This is one that needs to be signed. Can I have that one so I throw it
I
away?
threw it away.
Oh, did you?
So we don't all need to sign it?
Wait a minute, maybe I threw the wrong thing away.
Yeah.
What am I throwing away here?
The loan she just gave you is the latest one.
She fixed
Everything
the,
else needs.
the
I have
printing
two of
on
them.
it.
Why do I have two of them? Okay, I'm throwing them both
For
away.
the last agenda items, I can keep my noon lunch appointment.
Yes, we're gonna make a time without you. We would make it without your input anyway.
Well, that one I don't think requires much.
And no, it doesn't.
I'll see you.
See you here. All right.
Okay, so you gave me the one that's correct.
Yes, the lines are longer on the signature line.
Oh, okay, that's what you changed.
That's what I
That's what I was
Vernon
thinking.
said he and the PIO will work on a Facebook. Well, he said we, that may be Jordan and him will work on a Facebook page.
I liked it where I had a longer line.
Did you?
Oh, yours is longer than ours?
Well, it only stands to reason my pad's
No,
bigger.
it's fine.
It was, I said. I asked him if it was longer,
That was him. That wasn't me. I fixed it.
but it does stand to reason if his nameplate's bigger than ours, his line should be longer than
Should,
ours.
obviously.
And maybe he needs to quit shirking his duties because he keeps claiming, well.
Keeps
I'm
claiming,
not
I'm the new
really-
guy, I can't do this.
His line's gonna be longer. By God, his list of responsibilities should be
My
longer.
line's shorter now, but it is.
Oh, it is. Yeah, I think it might be.
Got to get it where you can.
I hear you. Okay, well, he's signing. Let's consider the time and location of our next meeting. And the reason for this, I understand, is both Tom and Tina,
Kelly.
or Kelly, is busy.
Gone.
I mean, it's too bad. What you should always put county first.
So she gets it ready.
This is the mid, so this would be
Okay,
the
go.
mid-June.
Mid-June, or was it
would be the
San Isabel?
Wetmore. Oh, it was at San Isabel.
So we don't have to have it there.
It's at San Isabel. I asked for it to be on the agenda.
I'll give it to you.
So I am committed to be out of state from the 13th through the 17th of June. Those are the dates I'm committed to. I still got to get there and get back. So I'm going to be out of state. I believe I'll be able to Zoom in, but not if we have it at Wetmore or San Isabel. So I'm proposing that we change the location of that meeting from San Isabel to Custer County and change the time from noon to 9, or would ask
I agree.
for you at least to
That's correct.
consider moving the meeting altogether to later in the month.
That would be more.
I would much prefer to be here in person if we could. Our last meeting date in June is the 30th. If we could maybe consider the 22nd or 23rd of our mid-month meeting, then I would be here in person. But
I don't know enough about my calendar right now.
yeah.
Because
Would you
normally it
consider
was-
having it on the 22nd of June as an alternate date to the 16th?
I don't want it to be too close to the end of the month. It's kind of a waste of time.
So,
that's a week before
right,
the end of the month.
8 days.
So it's splitting the difference between our normal mid-month and the end of the month.
But we've had some meetings that fell kind of close to our others, but I mean, our Friday, we have a meeting on a Friday at the end of the month and turn around and have a meeting on Tuesday and Wednesday. So, but I'm at your mercy.
And it seems like there's one other month, and I don't know what it is,
I can look
that you
real
have
quick.
it close like
Almost
that.
back to back. Yeah, let me look.
And I'm not
Well,
sure.
do we need it?
Well, that was
Maybe
going to
we
be
don't
my
need it at
third.
all, to be
That was going to
honest.
be my third question. I certainly don't want to set a precedent, to start canceling meetings
No,
because.
but somebody started a precedence about having the mid-month. And then
They did.
it started off at the beginning, so.
I just would say I wouldn't be in favor of making it a practice of canceling those
No,
meetings,
But
but
things come up.
I almost thought that maybe during that policies and procedures that maybe we could have some language in there at the request of an individual commissioner, we could consider
That's,
canceling or completely changing the date. I mean,
we can make that formal, but I would recommend canceling it personally. It's just, because look what happened here. We didn't have a whole bunch of items.
no,
And so-
that's true. We drug them out, but
We drug
that
them
was
out.
our choice.
It's our choice. I mean, we can waste time or not. I mean,
And then the other thing is, if we would do that, I'd prefer to do that, to be honest.
I would too. I'd rather get out.
If we do, then I'd say, then we better not schedule anything in the afternoons of the other
I
first two
agree,
meetings
because
and the
they're-
last
they
meeting,
could
because
move out.
those could be a lot longer. In other words, not have a Board of Health meeting at 1:30 on any of those days, because those, we'd have to carry whatever agenda items we came to us, we'd have to push them into
Sure, and what
a
we could do
slot.
is move that Board of Health meeting either where to make that happen.
Is it currently scheduled for the same day as our commissioner meeting, mid-month?
Mid-month.
Yeah.
So we can move that.
Yeah, so it would include moving, I'd rather move that than cancel it, because I don't really have a feel for what's going on. Board of Health.
We'll move that. We can move that. Well, we'll see when we get.
Or we could move it to the 30th,
And we'll,
at the end of
let's
the
see, we can make that decision as time goes on.
Yeah, that's
Board of
true,
Health
too.
could get
Maybe
really
Cliff
innocuous.
says we don't need a
We
meeting.
don't need it. So let's cancel.
Well, I would move that again, we can have some more discussion. I would move that we
Move it.
cancel this June 16th meeting at San Isabel.
I'll second it. Then we can discuss it like we already have.
Yeah, yeah.
And I agree with it, everything we said, and I will also include, it gives us a chance. Part of our job is to do other things.
Yeah.
And get out of the county. And June is a big month for things like the highways and byways, the Action 22 stuff, and the broadband thing's gonna start going, where CCI is gonna be doing things in, remember the Vail stuff that's still.
CCI conference is 7th through the
Yeah.
9th.
Yeah.
So let's just cancel.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that that's gonna fly, but they're still holding out those dates. It may be virtual again.
I think it's
which I
gonna
would
fly.
attend those.
I think it's gonna fly.
So, yeah, I just, we're probably gonna get criticized a little about it. Why the hell you cancel the meeting just because Flower can't be there? Well,
That's not what we're doing.
I'll take that heat, but I don't think
I think it's the right thing. if
we'd
we-
consider it for any of us, right?
Well, and we would consider it as the right thing to do, given the circumstances around the rest of that month.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. I had a problem with it last year because there's so many
Right.
things going that I had to race back from.
Yeah, and in retrospect, probably would have been better to cancel that. Wasn't fair to you,
It would have been
because you were driving,
Right.
God knows how many
stuck
miles.
in the
So,
middle of nowhere.
and, a former commissioner of ours would have been the first to point out, by statute, we don't have to meet 4 times a year.
No, that's what my point.
You may or may not know that, but statute says we have to meet twice a month. So this county, however that progressed, picked 4 times a month. So we're not
busting stats.
Yeah, we're not breaking any statute about this, so.
Okay, call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Commissioner Day,
Aye.
Commissioner Flower, Commissioner Kanda, aye.
Should we let Kelly vote on this one since
If
she
you want.
was upset that,
That was gonna be my next question.
are we going back to San Isabel?
Yeah, are you gonna change one of your other ones to San Isabel?
Yeah.
And that was gonna be my suggestion coming into today, that we
Move that later.
moved it, left it at San Isabel, but
Which
it's
need
not.
to include them until they, and
So-
if they keep not coming except for the waitress, we're not gonna do it. I'm serious.
So then, let me look, I've got the calendar right here. We're already scheduled to go to the airport in May. April was Wetmore, March was Wetmore. So I don't,
14th is Wetmore.
pardon?
July is also Wetmore.
Yeah, July's Wetmore. So I would say probably either the April meeting or the July meeting. we
July.
Switch. Be better to do July, because
More
they're probably
people-
not even gonna be open.
People
anymore.
might come in, they're not even open now. Let's wait till July.
So I would move that we change the location, time and location of the July 14th meeting from Wetmore to San Isabel and from 9 o'clock to noon.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye. Tom?
Aye.
Ken?
Aye.
Kanda, aye.
And hold on, why can't I change that?
Okay, well, you're changing that. There's nothing else on our agenda.
Email it back out.
I bet it's a PDF.
There's no other additional items, and I'll open up. Is anybody online anymore? Or are they all eating lunch?
No, there's two.
We have a Robert.
Is anybody, any other comments? Anybody want to add something that we could consider another time or introduce? Anybody lighten up?
No.
And we meet at, oh, I do have one thing, sir.
Go ahead.
Got an interesting email today during the meeting. Let me find it. Get out of there. I will give you the contents, and if you desire to know who sent it to me, I'll tell you, but I'll hold off because I don't think it's relevant. But anyway, I reached out, I don't know, last week sometime about the whole extension. So I got this email that says, let me blow this up. I'm sorry, I got too much stuff going on. Dated March 1st, dear Commissioner Chair Kanda, attached, please find an award extension from DOLA Executive Director Rick Garcia for the project EIAF 8635, the broadband infrastructure expansion.
When did that get?
Please continue to work with your regional manager, Christy Doon, as you bring this project under contract. So he did, and this actually came from Tim Caters on his behalf, but apparently you did receive an email with the.
Put it in my junk mail file. What date was that?
March 1st. So I've got, so we did.
Oh, we got it. Came from Page.
See, the Custer County Broadband Infrastructure Expansion Award of $1 million was extended for the second time through March 26, 2021. And then number 5 is due to circumstances identified in your letter of February 16th, the county anticipates the contracting process can begin no later than December 1. I am willing to extend this offer of award through December 31, 2021. This is the final award extension on this project.
This is it, guys. Get over it.
And if you are unable to meet this deadline, the offer will be rescinded.
Okay.
There's some other stuff in that letter, but supposedly, apparently you've received it March 1st.
Let me look for it. What's it? Who's it from? Just a second, Tina.
That's fine.
Tim Caters, Katers, Caters standard spelling.
Katers.
How do you spell Caters? Cator?
ER.
Yeah. How about that? That's von Boninghausen standard spelling.
Shoot, I'll miss that. Huh. It just says Dola Tim. Tim Dola, yeah.
That's all I have, sir.
That is money. Thanks for finding it. Huh, who knew? Tina.
Would someone mind forwarding that to me so I have it for the file?
I'll do it right this minute. I'm on it. Reply, forward.
Yeah, I probably ought to send it to all of us,
I
actually.
will.
You don't have it either, do you, Kevin?
I do not.
Yeah.
No, you only put me on there. Darn fool. Waiting for me to find. Two.
And
Kelly, you want it?
Please.
am I daydreaming or? Yeah. March 3rd. executive session to discuss strategy.
I don't know what that is. That might be on the wrong place.
Kevin,
No,
that's
'cause-
what you asked me to put on there.
Oh, Kevin did?
Does Kevin remember doing that? Because I don't remember a discussion about it, but that's may or may not. I didn't
Did we do
remember
it?
talking about needing executive session, but we may have. Do you remember?
I did bring that.
That was on, you talked about an executive session, to talk about Don's position in case.
Oh, that's what it was.
we weren't gonna get that filled.
Oh,
That is correct.
and we kind of addressed that.
We said we're not gonna have it.
I think we did address that earlier when we
That's true.
uh,
Yeah, I just saw that too.
we
and I said,
brought up
"What is that?"
expanding our search
I even
and
crossed it
things
off.
of that nature.
You satisfied with that or no?
I think I am, yes, at this point, moving forward, if we might have to do something different, but I think that does satisfy what I felt a need on.
So then I think for the record, we need something formal to indicate that we never did have an executive session because we didn't
Well.
amend the agenda. So,
Well, we never said we were gonna have it.
no, but it's on the agenda.
It's on the
so
agenda.
people
It's on the
think we
agenda, so-
had one. So I would, if I may, Mr. Chairman, I would move that we take no action on having an executive session today.
I
Well,
was
you
second.
seconded, so it's been moved and seconded to take no action on executive session today.
Because we can't make a negative motion. We couldn't say, I move we don't have an executive session. We can't do that. It's
No,
against
you
the
can
rules.
say, we'll take no
But we
action.
can,
Or not
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye. Kevin,
Aye.
Tom,
aye.
and I.
And then I've got a question, sir.
And so we can go.
Vernon's trying to hammer out
Chicken
some
off.
stuff over there. Did the commissioners vote on where Reggie's salary is coming from? In other words, where's the money coming from?
I thought we did that when we set the thing up.
So maybe we can have a conversation with Don. I don't know why Vernon's worried about where the money's coming from, but probably need to have.
He doesn't want it out of IT, that's obvious.
Sorry, puke, maybe that's where it's coming from.
It's gonna be working with them.
Good point. Can you talk to Don?
I'll talk to
See
Don,
what-
because
I don't,
I know there's, we set the pot up based on the two positions. What-
PIO.
PIO was
I
there
don't know
to
where that's
part-time
coming from.
PIO. Well, I'll talk to him.
Great question. I move to adjourn.
Is there a second? Or
Yes,
you want to keep this pain?
I second that motion.
Hey, and by the way, gentlemen, thank you for considering my motion to cancel that. Makes my life a lot easier. Because there's no guarantee that I'm gonna have internet access, but I'm,
Okay, it's been moved and seconded during this meeting. All in favor, say aye. Tom, Kevin,
Aye.
and I.
1:30.
Attorney.
We're back here at 1:30.
Yep, 1:30, you got